Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful week of, stuff, things, and other happenings. So, for those who are coming over from the shills, thank you very much. And for those who are wondering, yes, the description under the video is going to look oddly familiar because I am running the campaign and for as long as it frickin' takes. Because for those who may have missed it last week, I've gotten fed up and have decided that I'm not letting myself and other veterans who need assistance but are otherwise ineligible for the vast majority of aid programs out there to be left by the wayside anymore. So, in order to do that, in order to start the nonprofit that my intention is to run, I need funding to get it off the ground, and that's where all of you wonderful people come in. By sharing the link to the video that I clipped out from last week's episode, and or sharing the links which go to the GoFundMe and the Angel Investors page from the description below, and share it out there with anyone and everyone you think might, even in passing curiosity, may be interested. Down there is also my email address that people can use to directly contact me if they have any questions and want more of a intimate and personal one-on-one conversation about the subject. I have no fear, I have nothing to hide, and I actually encourage people to ask their questions because an informed decision is the best one that you could make. So with that, we're going to go ahead and enjoy the rest of this. So, who out there had the wonderful fun of watching what was happening on the shills just 10-15 minutes ago and earlier?
Well, with rain and shit internet, I can't watch a live stream to save my fucking ass. So there you go.
And yet you're in here.
Because I'm on the telephone, actually calling directly to Google to get into this shit. So yeah.
I was on the road earlier, so I didn't see it.
Well, in short, our good old friend Schrodinger's cat had a debate with Marilyn Spirit Level. And she has decided... So here's the thing. She posted that she was going to be premiering a video. A video about the debate that she had with Kat. Here's the thing. She did a premiere for a straight-up mirror of the debate itself. Think about that. Did a premiere for a video, promised some sort of interaction and responding to the contents of the debate itself, did a mirror of it, and was in the live chat of the premiere, timing out and deleting messages that she found were offensive, insulting, mocking, and just however else she had to justify it. Pretty much, if you asked her too hard of a question, and then you ask her why is she ignoring it, she would time you out. How do I know that? She did it to me.
And she did
she's already got me blocked from her channel, so I could post shit on her streams anyway.
Oh, and speaking of her having people blocked, she decided to... she blocked Schrodinger's cat a while ago. Then unblocked him to where they could actually interact. And then just a few days ago, she blocked him again and tried to say, oh no, I've had him blocked since way back. So apparently way back is a few days ago.
Yeah.
And apparently
somebody who can't use a spirit level to begin with, so You know?
And look at that. Guess what, everyone? We have a new channel member, Soul Survivor. Welcome to the nest. And I see you're already having fun with the new emojis available to you. And by the way, you have found my favorite, the F-14. Which, by the way, if I think now we need 1 or 2 more channel members, and then we get another emoji going live. And it's going to be some freshly cooked bacon.
Oh joy! We're getting piggyback. God.
Oh no! The emoji is going to be straight up legitimate bacon. That actually one of the original and one of the first members of the channel actually was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to cook some bacon. He ended up cooking. Wait a minute. How much bacon did you end up cooking there, Leon? Because it was quite a bit, and the pictures were phenomenal.
You see, this is the point in time where I need to say I hate you, Jared, because bacon is strictly off my diet. I mean, like,
Not my problem.
Bacon.
what the hell, guys? Come on.
Yeah, bacon tastes good. Pork chop tastes good.
Hashtag not my problem.
So
See, I have to
very
get that-
true.
I have to get that fake ass bacon. You know, the shit that says it's turkey and it's not. God only knows what it really is. Is probably tofu, but it tastes like it.
Oh,
It doesn't even taste like bacon. It doesn't even taste like bacon. It looks like tofu and it tastes like tofu.
the tofurkey.
Yeah.
Or the turducken, one of the two.
You know, I'd rather have turducken than I would the toe bacon.
You know, which one would you say is worse? The turkey bacon or the tofurkey, the tofu type?
The tofu bacon, definitely. I'd rather have the turkey bacon.
Well, you would think with the tofu one, they could at least put some flavoring to confuse you a bit more. It's kind of hard to do that with the turkey.
But then that skyrockets the sodium content in it, which, yeah.
Oh, come on. MSG isn't that bad for you.
It is when you've had a heart attack already, Jared. Geez. What are you trying to do? You trying to put me in an early grave? Hey, Marvel Girl, did you hear it? Jared's trying to put me in an early grave.
No, I have a bet to win. So I need you to have 3 more. They don't have to be big. They just have to be successive enough. We need to get you to 5.
Yeah, well, I'll stay at 2. Thank you very much. I told Marvel. Well, I made the mistake of telling Marvel that I might have a heart attack before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or just shortly after Thanksgiving dinner. Thankfully, I didn't. It was just, it was a little bit of chest pain, so I could take I took a nitro and I was good. But yeah, I think part of that is because the Cowboys totally sucked yesterday.
Yes, they did.
And
You mean
frustrated the hell out of me.
Oh, you mean like every
like
you mean like every time they've played a team with a winning record this year?
Yeah. Well, yesterday was even worse. I mean, because at least we were competitive against the Patriots.
Yeah, that's only because of that's only because of the weather.
Competitive. We were at home and we weren't even competitive against Buffalo.
Well,
Buffalo's a lot better this year than people give them credit for. So
yeah,
it's still fucking Buffalo.
Here's the thing: Buffalo actually has a dangerous quarterback now. Last time Buffalo had a quarterback that could actually do something was when they had Bledsoe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Did y'all watch the Lions game yesterday?
Part of it.
No.
Okay. All right. That is a third-string quarterback that made Dak Prescott look like a rookie. Yeah, the Lions lost yesterday, but for 3.5 quarters, the Lions' third-string quarterback looked like a 5-year starter in the NFL.
Well, so here's something to think about, though. How many Cowboys fans? I know of one up this way that I've played softball with for a few years now. How many other Cowboys fans are sick and tired of a head coach who all he does is clap, and a wannabe owner GM combination that really just needs to give up the frickin' reins already?
You know, it would be something else if you had an actual head coach. You had a Jimmy Johnson type head coach, because where the Cowboys are now versus where they were in '89 is exactly the same place. The only difference between the 1 and whatever '89 team that Dallas had and the 1 or the 6-6 team that we are now is the fact that
sub 500, sub 500.
The '89 team was still in development.
Above 500, sub 500.
Yeah, we're 500.
Oh no, hold on.
No, he's going through the Bills' schedule.
Sub 500. Oh wait, they lost there, so I'm not counting that. Sub 500. Sub 500. Sub 500. 500. You're the only team. You're one of 2 teams that they've beaten with a 500 or better record.
That's 2 more than the Cowboys have beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see the Cowboys record here. Open another window, and I meant to open a tab.
See, now here is the sad state of affairs of the NFC East. The Cowboys are at 500. They have barely been competitive against other winning teams in the league, and yet they're still first in their division.
Well,
Let's see. So who have they beaten? Let's see. Dallas Cowboys. Sub 500, sub 500, sub 500.
So Chris Catsola has asked, isn't Jerry the owner, president, and GM? Why, yes he is.
Yes, he is.
Which is why Jerry Jones, you really need to fire your GM and your head coach.
So, out of all of Dallas's wins, you've beaten how many above 500 teams? Oh, that's right.
None.
None.
None. We have not beat a 500 or better team this year. We've had some close games with 500 or better teams, but yesterday was yesterday was yesterday, and
so
Jerry needs to make Stephen Jones the GM, and needs to send Jason Garrett back to scouting.
So
At this point, I would be willing to go get Ken Norton Jr. from Seattle and make him Dallas's head coach. I would throw enough money.
We won't allow it.
I would do what?
We wouldn't allow it.
I don't know.
Notice my co-host's first 3 picks for yesterday. Notice my 3 picks for yesterday.
Oh, it's almost like someone's been paying attention.
Well, what's funny is he says on his Yahoo he actually picked the Bears, but he wrote down Detroit when he sent it to me because his birthday was Wednesday and he's in New Orleans for the holiday weekend and everything. So I'm just like, sorry, that's what you sent me. That's what I rolled with. That's your pick.
Yeah.
What's funny is I already had a what did I have there? Let's see. I already had a 4 or 3 game winning or 3 games lead on him. With that added into it, I'm now back up to 6 games.
So Mark Beiser has said, I was surprised that the game against the Patriots was not a blowout in favor of the Pats. here's the thing. The Cowboys had their chance because the quarters that the Patriots scored was when the offense had the wind at its back. The other two quarters, the other half of the game, the Patriots weren't able to really do anything because of the weather. The weather was that freaking bad. Like, it was that windy that even that offense couldn't keep anything consistent the entire game. So the Cowboys had an opportunity there, but they shot themselves in the foot.
Well, the Saints are the first one to secure themselves a playoff berth officially with the win.
Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing, Jerry, is Dak Prescott's in a contract year. Okay, his contract's up at the end of the season.
Yeah, and he's probably pushing too hard, which is what's given him the inconsistent play. Because even in the game against the Bills, there were a handful of plays that he looked like a starting NFL quarterback. But because that consistency isn't there for the entire game, it's hurting him, it's hurting the team. And that's where, I didn't even think about the contract year aspect to it. If that's the case, he very well could be trying to press too hard, which is making a lot of how many of his throws were towards an open receiver, a completion that should have been made, but he threw it away. He threw it.
Give me a minute, I can pull that up. The
Go
NFL.
for it, Jay.
Well, the NFL has the next gen stats now, so you can actually pull it up by player.
But here's the thing: is that not only is he trying too hard, but as he tries too hard, he is not improving his stock at all anywhere in the NFL. Should Dallas decide to go cutting? Now, what would it take for Dallas to Dak Prescott? Well, you'd have to get a top-performing QB in free agency, and that doesn't happen very often because a lot of those QBs carry the franchise tag with them.
Well, so here's the thing with the personnel move on that aspect. The question is, do they have a quarterback already in their system that they feel they can hand the reins over to? No. Now, look at the upcoming draft class. Where are they expecting themselves to be in the first round? I mean, at this rate, they're going to be middle of the first round.
Well, they'll be below the first round at this rate. And it's only because there are still trade deals that are out there that have already been completed, which give away Dallas's 1 and 2.
Yep.
Okay. So, Dallas doesn't necessarily have a number 1 upcoming draft. So they're going to have to go look at what would be available. Well, like I said yesterday, the Lions game made that third-string quarterback look like a starter, look like he was Stafford.
Yeah, that's all you need to. That's all you need to know. I'm sure it's a tip somewhere. I'd have to go back and pull up the play itself. But
okay, what am I missing
interception behind the line of scrimmage.
Oh, yeah.
An interception 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
I mean, this one's at least respectable, about 5-ish yards or so, Easily a defensive line.
Can anybody get on Twitter? Can anybody get on Twitter and tag Skip Bayless into this? I'd love to get his take on that.
I mean, you can even make this one's a respectable one here for an interception. Let's see, any others that pop out behind the line of scrimmage?
When it's third and 10 and you throw an interception, I can understand that because you're trying to force a play to happen.
Yeah, but even that,
and you're throwing the interception 30 yards downfield. I can understand that. when you're 3rd and 10, and you throw an interception 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, now, so here's my thing with the interceptions in relation to the line of scrimmage. If you're in my opinion, the only passable, like the only semi-acceptable interception is one that is the result of a above average play by the defensive back. Note that. Defensive back. Not a linebacker, not a frickin' lineman.
So when was that interception, by the way? Behind the line of scrimmage.
That is a good question. One that I do not have the answer to off the top of my head.
Alright, so it's not in the first quarter, it looks like. Let's see if I can pull it up and watch the play.
Well, shouldn't you be able just to pull it up by turnovers? And granted, he also did have that strip sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see here.
Soul Survivor actually asked a question to Joseph Grant in the chat, because Joseph Grant, apparently, Vietnam vet, who is actually born in Belgium, but is a U.S. veteran. That is the thing. Serving on active duty does work as a fast track to citizenship for foreign nationals. Except here's the thing. Joseph Grant finished what he was supposed to get the citizenship. There are people who don't and then want to complain that, oh, I didn't get my citizenship while I was in. I'm a veteran. What gives? Well, you kind of got to finish the paperwork.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of things, did y'all catch yesterday or day before yesterday's Bean Cops YouTube video?
No.
Okay. Basically, he based the simulation on World War II Japanese fleet versus one American supercarrier with the destroyer support only.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did see that video. It was a modern carrier, 2 destroyers, and
3 destroyers.
No, 2 destroyers and a cruiser, which is your typical battle formation. It's your typical formation for current operation tempo. You have the carrier, you have 2 Arleigh Burkes, and then 1 Ticonderoga. That is your typical setup. That's what they went with, and it was interesting because the analysis essentially said that if you wipe out the entire World War II Pacific Fleet at the beginning of Pearl Harbor, replace it with those 4 modern ships, the real question, oh yeah, that's entirely on Dak.
Yep.
The question really came of how much support from the World War II era facilities are you going to give? Because if you do not give the modern carrier group any support, it delays the end of World War II by, what was it, about a year?
A year to a year and a half is what he said.
Yeah. But if you give them the support, it shortened it by only a couple months. Which is really...
But that support being that you have to figure out how the Oilers are going to be able to, the World War II Oilers are going to be able to refuel and resupply a modern carrier when they've never done that before.
Well, so here's the thing. The connection types that are still in use for underway replenishments are actually a fairly old design. The biggest thing is actually getting the lines over. And then
Well,
the biggest thing.
Here's the way it would work. Here's the way it would work, though, is that on some of those old oilers, the lines that would carry the aviation fuel are an inch smaller than what they are currently in use today.
Well, yeah, now they made them both the same size. That way, if you have a problem with one, you can swap over and be fine. Because most of your conventionally powered ships now are actually just using a slightly tweaked version of avgas. As a matter of fact, the EDGs run on avgas. It runs on the JP5, which is why there was so goddamn frickin' much of it on the Kitty Hawk. But that was actually one thing brought up, is with the fuel quality that they had back in World War II compared to now, our modern equipment could run on it, granted at a decreased efficiency, but they could still run on it.
What channel is this that did this supposed simulation?
Binkov, Binkov.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, it was
about a week
interesting.
ago.
I watched it.
Yeah, it's not
I
as
just saw it. Yes, I saw it last night. So
well. It's not as drastic or as significant a change as if we were to get rid of the U.S. Sub fleet from World War II and replace it with a couple modern nuclear subs. Big difference there.
So that's what it made different. They should have had like a carrier battle group in there, because then you would have had one or two subs in with.
Oh, well, yeah. And that's the thing, is had they done a true full battle group, you would have seen a significant increase, because your support ships would have been there. You would have had more of the surface fleet around it. And yeah, you would have had one or two 688s or Virginias with it.
There's a big drawback with that, however, would be weapons. Like the subs, we would run out of, like, there's not equivalent weapons of the period we would be able to use.
This is true, and that was another thing. At least aircraft, you can get rounds for the guns. You can get the bombs. The missile technology, yeah, the whatever the carrier had with it, that's all that they were going to have. But the bombs, those could as a matter of fact, the main core of the majority of the bombs that are used by the U.S. Navy, unchanged since World War II. The differences are the nose and tail, which are where we have been able to take a dumb bomb and make it a smart bomb.
And we still use dumb bombs. I mean, let's face it.
Not so much anymore, because generally nowadays, actually for the past 15 years, if we were using the 500 to 1 ton-pound bomb, we would use a GBU. We would use a general purpose bomb. But they would put the nose and tail on it to modify it into the paveway system, at the very least, which is one of our older and honestly more reliable laser-guided systems for a bomb. The only problem is you got to have the laser designator for the paveway to target in on and then follow, which means you either need a ground unit in the area, or the aircraft has to have the lantern pod and remain on station long enough for the bomb to track that beam.
Yeah.
Someone's turning.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, that's one thing I can be grateful for this year. I didn't have to drive nowhere to have Thanksgiving. We had it here at the house. I did the pies, and I did the cookies, and I did the deviled eggs. My mother-in-law did everything else.
Yeah. So,
Let's see. Yeah, I'm screwed.
So we have a few questions from the chat from LRJ88. How long range would that configuration have? As in, if there was a retaliation against Japan, how far away could the ships be while still being effective yet safe? With the modern craft, so let's compare it to the Doolittle raid. The Doolittle raid was trying to get to between 300 and 400 miles out before launching the aircraft, but ended up launching at just outside of 600 miles out because they were spotted and they weren't sure whether or not any radio traffic got back to warn the mainland. So from that range, from 600 miles out, a modern carrier strike group would not have had an issue with that. They would have actually been able to go do the attack run on Tokyo and a couple other cities, turn around and make it back to the aircraft carrier. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Especially seeing as how, one, a typical configuration of an aircraft, unless we are right off the frickin' shore and doing a shorter interdiction, they're going up with at least one drop tank for additional fuel. And anytime a portion of the air wing goes up, here's the way launch progress happens. Your search and rescue helicopter goes up first. Then your Hawkeye goes up. Your airborne electronic early warning aircraft goes up to extend the vision of the carrier itself. Then your tanker goes up. Whatever FA-18 Super Hornet is designated as the tanker for that mission, that's the third aircraft to go off. Then your actual strike plan goes up.
And some of the weapons, like the harpoons, they can be able to engage against the ships outside of the ship's visual range.
Yep.
Yeah, he tallied that into effect. And in fact, he fought the Battle of Midway there with a total loss to all Japanese carriers, because that would be what we would target first.
So, Jared, this is why I'm saying I'm screwed. Building
Your
a
white
Threadripper.
corn stash.
Nice.
So what's the total cost for the build so far? 4,500. That's nice.
And a lot of this is with Black Friday sale prices right now, so
Oh yeah, that
in a few days,
is.
let's see how that goes.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was funny that 3970X was like nipping at Rome, like the Epic processors. It was like nipping at the Epic.
Yeah.
There are two more, because there's a 3980 and a 3990 in the pipeline too.
For next year, yeah.
I have to build a new machine myself pretty soon, so I'm very interested in people's results with these newer processors, because when I built this machine, I never intended to do anything other than have it be a console killer. And it's been producing shows now for over a year. And I never built it for that. It's way too small for as far as expandability for what I need it. So I need something else, and the new Threadripper stuff is great for that kind of thing.
Well, even just the 3rd gen Ryzen is great for it too.
3900, 3950, yeah, there's... You don't get the PCIe lanes, but...
Yeah, but even
that's
then,
crunching power.
For what I'm doing though, that's what I need. Is I need
The lanes.
an IOMMU and a decent number of lanes to keep stuff from bottlenecking.
Yeah, I'll just stick with my plan. Win the lotto and then build that 2 systems in one tower.
Yeah.
Well, I already got the storage system. That's a separate.
Oh no! I'll pull it up here.
I got an I accept systems free as mini, so
Oh no, Dave, quite literally the system that Jay showed me a few months back that I would love to have with what I've been doing lately. It is literally 2 computers in one case.
That would be sad.
So
You end up
there's
being
one
related to the
system
partridge.
dedicated
That
for
now
playing
end up
for
being
gameplay,
cousin that I
and
got.
then there's a capture card from there to the other system that's in the case, which is your streaming system and a few other things. So it is literally 2 computers in one case.
and I need something like that because there might be a restreaming issue, which I'd like to do my own restreaming, which basically means I have to get a better connection. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to start a company. I need the equipment to go with it.
Oh yeah, same here. Granted, the company I'm trying to start up is the nonprofit, but still, bit better of equipment for actual dedicated business management stuff is part of the startup costs that I'm in the process of getting funding for, which is where link in the description to a GoFundMe for it and or the investors page, because my overall startup goal for the complete funding is over 250 grand. And that's everything all told and the operations budget to begin providing services.
So here we go. 3900X up here for gaming, and video processing, video editing, etc. Down here is this 9900K for streaming purposes only, because it's got its own integrated graphics, and that way you can use the sole PCIe.
That's a
slot.
really nice capture. That's a really nice capture card too. The 4K 60 Pro. That's the one I want.
I got the HD 60 Pro in mine. So, but yeah, and all you do is you run an HDMI from here to here, so you can stream. And I forgot what the software he was using for the to track the mouse from one system to the other.
Oh, that's easy. It's just I forget what the name was too. I use it all the time too, though. Just in business, like when I've worked at other places, I had a system that was just Windows because I was a Linux admin in the past, and I had a system that was just Windows for Outlook. That's all I ever used it for.
KVM, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Share mouse KVM software.
Yeah, there's a couple of those out there that do the kind of basically the same thing.
Oh
yeah, but since I shared this with Jared, him and I both been kind of drooling over this and wondering who's going to be the first to build it.
Well, I want mine to be integrated into my desk because that's another part I actually don't have either. I'm sitting here on this credenza, so.
Yeah, desk space right now for me is limited. And so we had a couple questions from the chat. First one from Fino from Ugly German Truths. Is Furbolt back stateside? Yes, he is, and he is spending time with the family, which is why he's not on the panel tonight, and also why he's not going to be on Kanar with Damar tomorrow. And other question, where was it?
What time is Kanar with Damar, if I might ask?
4 p.m. Eastern.
I would be interested in being on that at some point.
Well, as it stands right now, we will have at least one spot open since Furball will be out of action. And with that, so the topic we are addressing this week, following the pattern that has been set, we are going to be reviewing The Search for Spock.
I have yet to watch that, and I should probably watch that tonight before I go to bed.
I've already watched it once this past week, I'm going to be watching it again, except here's the thing. Because of the whole wonderful scheduling of what is and is not available on certain streaming platforms, I actually had to dig out my DVD collection just so I could watch it, because all of the movies are no longer available for streaming on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime.
Yep,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
kind
why
of
I keep my Blu-ray right next to my desk.
Paramount's being stupid, so yeah.
Yeah, I just, the next time I watch it, I'm actually going to have to watch it on the computer, which thankfully my computer does have an optical drive, so I can capture some screenshots for talking points throughout the movie. But yeah, my typical process, and this is more so for the audience, so you guys know how much I actually put into this when doing a review, be it an episode review or the movie review. I sit here at my desk with a notebook, and I will, through over the course of the week leading up to the show, my goal is to watch the movie or episode 3 times. Once just to watch it. Second time, I watch it again full, but pausing as I go to make notes. And then the third time, I watch it that third time while taking a look back at my notes, just in case there's anything I missed. And interlaced with that is any background research, like there's going to be some really interesting additional commentary, like production notes, planning notes, that sort of thing, relevant to why the movie turned out the way it is. But yeah, the minimum watch it 3 times before we actually go live with the show. Yeah, Fino does have a point. It's all CBS, all access now, and I wonder how much of it is that tweaking of who actually owns the IP of Star Trek. So
Yeah, it's also probably because Disney's doing their streaming service now, that they're like, okay, let's bring all our product back to us.
yeah, well, but so for a while there, the IP for Star Trek was actually split between Paramount, Viacom, and CBS. CBS had the IP for just the television-based stuff, which the TV series for Star Trek are still available on Netflix and Hulu. Haven't looked at Amazon Prime, but Netflix and Hulu,
I think they are still there.
yeah, so the CBS legacy IP stuff is still there. But Paramount and Viacom, which has the IP for all the movies and the JJ-verse stuff, in addition to Bad Robot having their own stake in it, that is what is no longer available through the streaming services, which makes me wonder, did they do that in preparation for remerging the IP under one umbrella, like it was prior to Viacom selling off Paramount? There is another question in the chat. That from Digital Demonic Davros, will Star Trek be evolving anytime soon? I think they are trying to evolve Star Trek as an IP, which is why we're getting Discovery and Picard in the mold that they're doing it, as a way to try to make it more relevant for what they perceive as today's viewing market. However, they have woefully missed the mark to date on the actual implementation of it. which is why I am 50-50 on whether or not Picard is even going to be watchable.
I hope it is, but at the same time, I'm still not willing to spend a monthly subscription on ABC All Access for that, or CBS All Access for that.
Yeah. God's auditor. Interesting.
You mistaking ABC and CBS is kind of funny because guess who owns BBC?
Disney.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
That frickin' mouse.
Which
Disney.
makes the meme of the Star Destroyer chasing the Enterprise all the more funny.
It really does, but at the same time, it better not be poetic foreshadowing.
I hate to tell you this, but it probably is.
Well, yeah.
They pretty much just bought everything from Fox and let Fox keep producing and showing its stuff. So I mean,
Well, and that is the thing with media conglomerates. That's essentially what they do. Oh, all these channels, which were once independent, are all now under this one big corporate double-eared. Yeah, fuck you, mouse.
At some point, we're going to have the media frenzy equivalent or a media telecom equivalent of the Telecom Communications Act of 1996, which is where they basically said AT&T freaking go away and try again.
Oh, yeah. Where they finally started looking at telephone service as a utility and get rid of the monopoly for it. Yeah. And that's the thing. Every big for-profit company, that is their goal. They want to have as much of the market share as they can get, because the larger market share they have, the more revenue they're going to have. The more revenue they have, the more profit they're going to have, which that's their goal, to make profit. So it doesn't...
almost like they're Ferengi.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like the Ferengi are a microcosm of the capitalist nature of the Western civilization now. Which actually, that could probably be the topic to follow the next episode.
Well, that is what the Ferengi are. Basically, if you made capitalism a religion and drove a society, that's the Ferengi.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I just posted a video in the Kanar with Damar group, actually, Jared.
What was that?
I posted a video in the Kanar with Damar group as a potential future topic.
Oh, yeah. See, and Leon has it right in the chat. The Ferengi, while they too tried to get to a full consortium and monopolies, they know better than to bleed the market dry. And I think that's where a lot of modern businesses end up failing, because they either misread the market or they oversaturate it and try to leech too much off of it. Third rule of acquisition. Here's a question. Let me see what I have going on here. Oh, it's Nader. It's not Shives. Okay.
Never spend more for an acquisition than you have to.
Yep.
Rule of acquisition number 3.
Hang on. I'm going to check something. While you're pulling that up, let me go ahead and boom, there we go. Because... of course, one of the few things that I have to go into the frickin' studio beta for, you bastards.
What now?
checking how many channel members we have. So that way we know 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we are at 5 members, which emojis. As you gain more subscribers, you can upload even more.
Oh, I forgot that one.
Can I do another? Let's see how many. Okay.
And that right there is the 7th rule that the 7th Rule podcast is actually talking about too.
Keep your ears open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your ears open.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. So, looking at it, so when we have 5, we should have 6. So how many do we have here? 1, 2, 4. Hey, there we go. So we next stream on Kanar with Damar, we will have bacon available as an emoji. We are at enough for that. And looking at it, we need 5 more. We'll need 5 more channel members to get the next emojis after that, because actually 1, 2, 3, 4. We actually have 4 now, so we actually have enough for. You know what? Let me select one of the already made ones, because I still need to dress up the. Where did I put it here? Where did I? You know, I'm gonna have to find the made emojis, because we will end up having 2 more emojis the next time we go live, which will be tomorrow afternoon. And yes,
What's the red rule 69?
Ferengi are not responsible for the stupidity of other races. Yeah. I will give them that one. I will let them slide with that.
74 is also equal of merit.
Knowledge equals profit, but only if you know how to implement it.
Home is where the heart is, but the stars are made of latinum.
Definitely poetic license on that one.
Beware the Vulcan greed for knowledge. Rule 79.
Oh, it is true. The Vulcans are the sneaky greedy in that way.
Let's see here.
Scroll
Rule
up.
82. The flimsier the product, the higher the price. Yeah.
Yeah, scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, 34 and 34.
Well, it's 34 and 30.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
34 and 35. 34, war is good for business. 35, peace is good for business. What does that mean? Just be good at business. You know, Leon, LRJ88 does have a point. It's funny how the current owners of Star Trek could actually benefit from reading the rules of acquisition.
Like this one right here, 43.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't think they're so much going after the greed aspect. I think they've
got this one down pat, 39.
Don't tell the customers more than they need to know. That is a good one. But so here's the thing, the way I see it, they are definitely, they're trying to be too much of ideologues with the message that they're trying to portray. Because while Star Trek historically has always been progressive in the messages that it tries to convey through its media, it hasn't been as blatant as it is now. And I think that's one of the bigger drawbacks is with how hard they are pushing certain political ideations, that's where it's going wrong. Be more.
I find it rather poetic irony here that Rule 66 references Disney in one way in their acquisition of Star Wars.
Wait a minute. Shouldn't that be someone's always got bigger lobes? Because they didn't really call them ears. They referred to them as their lobes.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that it's typed here on as ears makes the Disney reference better. Order 66.
Demonic Davros. Flirts could do with Rule 60, and I have to concur. Keep your lies consistent.
You know, there is a... I wonder if you can buy
actually
this
have
book
to have
on Amazon.
You have to have a functional memory to keep your lies consistent, however. That's their problem. They don't remember anything, so they just make shit up as they go along.
Yeah, the ad hoc explanations tend to screw them over.
Let's just...
But so
do this.
Davros, if you want to join us tomorrow for the for talking about the search for Spock, give the movie a watch, take some notes, and we'll go from there. And yes, Soul Survivor, while Star Trek historically has always had that political-esque type of commentary, it's always been more of a, I'm going to hold up a mirror and make you guys look at yourself type of thing. Whereas it has always been more of a reflective thing and a analytical from a psychological standpoint.
So morality play.
Yeah. Well,
morality plays.
You get a lot of the morality plays. You also get the questions of what does and does not make a man. As a matter of fact, the episode Measure of a Man. But it was less preachy then than what current Trek has been. The JJ verse was just messed up.
JJ verse was just an action movie. I mean, it really wasn't.
Yeah. It changed the tempo and the visuals, but the rest of it was still there. The core of Star Trek, when you really look at the JJ verse, the core messages were still there, were still the same. It wasn't an over-the-top twisted sense of political statements being made. But Discovery, definite political statements there.
Can't send this to Flat Earthers. There's no pictures.
Wow. I
Oh, wait,
like
there's
it.
a picture.
And so Soul Survivor said, yeah, I agree. It shows us who we are and who we could be, but I don't want Star Trek to tell me who I should be. Yes, and that is the line that Discovery has crossed. It's crossed from showing this is where you guys are at and this is where you could be to, no, bitch, this is where we're going. Deal with it. Audio should not be low.
Whose audio is low?
Marvel Girl was just asking, is it me or is the audio low?
Marvel Girl, look at your YouTube page and make sure your volume's all the way up on the video.
Yeah. But at the same time, if other people in the chat concur that audio is a little bit low, I'm staring at the adjusters right now, so just let me know and I can change that in a heartbeat.
Fine on my end.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of in here with us, and there ain't shit I can do internal. That's all on your end at that point. So,
So this is what I hear when we're talking about flat Earth.
oh my god. Oh, towards the towards the beginning of the shills, Schrodinger's cat was giving Marilyn Spirit Level a hard time for her spelling, to which I had to tell him.
I was listening.
You know, you gotta be. What do you expect from someone whose English teacher was Joshua Michael? But oh, jeez. So, guys, how have things been going in your neck of the woods? Have all the fires decided to behave for the time being?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little shit around, but with the storm that passed through, humidity went up, and of course things got drenched everywhere. So shit's under control, except maybe way out in the desert area. But I'm not really know anything that I'm going to get called up for. So I guess my fire season's over for now, till next summer. But I'll be up in Alaska, but I'll probably come down for fire season. So.
Yeah. So are you maintaining the property down that way then, and just moving up to Alaska?
I'm moving up to Alaska, and I'm going to have one of my cousins is going to move into the house and take care of the property while I'm gone, and I'm not going to charge her rent. So she just basically here is a body on the property to make sure,
Pretty much a custodian.
Yeah, make sure that nobody that way there's a body here. That way people don't come over here and break into the property and take shit, and keep things maintained and keep the fence line and stuff like that. But all she has to do is pay for electricity, and she has no rent. So at least it'll get her out of her apartment, and she'll have her basically the whole house to herself. And yeah.
Nice.
Hey Jared, what do you think about this one?
Oh, it does have a point.
But I sent the dozer in to the big cat servicing people here to get serviced up for storage for the winter and for next season. So that's where she's at.
Oh, some of the results you get, Jay.
I don't even have to try. That's the worst part.
No,
And you certainly could, yes.
Actually, he's tried on a few occasions.
Oh, it's even funnier though. Is my wife's been watching TNG, and I just kind of watched when she's watching too. And she did the season 5, season 6 crossover episode at the end there, where Data's sent back in time 0, I think it is.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, the one with Mark Twain.
Yeah, the one that the bellboy is trying to carry in the anvil and drops it, and Data comes over, picks it up, carries it like 4 feet, and then like sets it down. Oh, my arm, how, or something like that.
The people that were stealing people's souls and energy to live.
Psionic energy, yes. Oh, gotta love that techno babble.
I wonder if Cheshire could make this into a smug.
I miss Alara, though. But then again, that tends to happen when you hire your girlfriend as one of your leading cast members as well.
I could see them actually throwing this into the actual script.
Well, and considering Chris Pine doesn't really look anything like William Shatner, why would Spock
Recognize him?
recognize him?
Because if he didn't recognize him, it wouldn't fit the script.
Yeah, because, here's the thing.
And granted, William Shatner doesn't even look like William Shatner anymore, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, there's that. If you actually look at Chris Pine compared to the younger version of the Shat, then there is more of a...
It's closer. The
Yeah.
younger you make Shatner, the better the match. But and I understand that they can't, like, there's no way to get that in the same Shatner to play, because obviously he doesn't look like that at this point anymore.
Now, here's a question. With the alternate timeline, does Kirk still die as a result of the Nexus?
Ooh. I don't think so. I wouldn't really think so.
Well, he's not actually dead.
Because
he's in the Nexus.
Because
still.
if Khan doesn't show back up after the initial introduction.
Well, there was a question posed in the title of a video that was shared in our internal group, and I do have to concur with Geo Streber's response to it. The question was, is there a desire for more of the Kelvin timeline? No.
Yeah, there's rumors that they're making a fourth one that's been greenlit to go.
Oh, here's the thing. The talk of a fourth JJ-verse movie has been there because it was in the contracts of the main actors.
Well, no, it died. I mean, it died. I mean, it pretty much went under. But they've actually, there's stuff going in motion with it again. So.
Well, yeah, they're trying to resurrect it, but at the same time, what was the final hurdle that stopped it last time is still a hurdle that they haven't addressed, and that's the cast. Are they going to be able to retain the characters who they still can, such as Kirk, Spock, Uhura, McCoy, Scotty, and Sulu? Because unfortunately, they're going to have to find a way to write off Chekhov as off-air, as off-screen.
Yep.
I hope they just kill the character off, to be honest, rather than trying to...
Well, no, that's what I mean, is they're going to have to... They are going to have to address that in some way similar to a Tasha Yar type situation, except it not happening on screen.
Well, I've gone and seen all the JJ verse Star Trek movies. They're fun. I don't think of them... I don't go and watch them the same way I watch the old Star Trek movie. They're action popcorn flicks. They're fun to watch, but, they're
fun, and their stories kind of... They don't really mesh well with the old one.
Yeah. I don't watch them as Star Trek flicks. I watch them as, modern sci-fi action flicks.
Hey, Jared, what do you think about this middle one?
I've seen that middle one before. Oh, I love the left-hand side of that one. But yeah, lately I've been throwing on Firefly, which is why there's I was in a Discord DM group DM earlier today, and for some reason we started talking about, yes, that one is amazing. And the topic of religion and the Bible came up. And immediately what came to mind for me was a particular scene from Firefly from the Janestown episode, where River is quite literally going through and editing the Bible and ripping pages out because she's trying to fix the Bible.
I like the one where she's like, hair, I put it away. It's still there.
Oh, yeah, that was the next episode.
Here you go.
Or no. Same episode, a couple scenes later. Because even Zoe was afraid of the hair.
Here you go, Jared.
There's nothing wrong with that. Get the frick over yourself, you little child. Wait. No, don't start with the first movie. Let me tell you which ones are good. 70s farm equipment in space, yeah. The past was horrible? JJ might have ruined it, but I won't be sure until I see the next one.
I like the 90s Carnival cruise in space.
That is very accurate for TNG.
It is. And when I first saw TNG, I was like, that's more like a luxury liner than a scientific exploration ship.
Well, so the Galaxy class was very much a deep space explorer and ambassadorial type of ship, where it was definitely foreign relations. Yes, we're going to look big and powerful, but not so imposing that we scare the shit out of people when we arrive. But at the same time, it was designed during a golden age of the Federation, where while there were skirmishes, they weren't so afraid about a major power.
Twilight, oh my god.
Guys, we have to buy the Twilight shits soon so we can destroy it like Star Wars.
Oh,
I should
please
pitch that
do.
idea to my wife. She loves Twilight. I should be like, hey, you want Disney to buy Twilight and redo it?
Oh, it was bad the first time. Stop.
Oh, Leon has a good point. Star Wars is amazing, though. They managed to make the Phantom Menace look good, albeit by making 7 and 8 really fucking shit.
I hate that they cut this
no,
part off, but this is pretty true.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Phantom Menace is that Phantom Menace directly ripped off a Mel Brooks movie, and I can prove it.
Well, Lucas tends to rip off other things and put them together and call them his own.
Well, yeah, but I mean, okay, all right, did you ever look closely at the trade union ships that were blockading Naboo?
Yeah.
Okay, now go back to History of the World Part 1 at the very end. For history,
Yeah, the Jews in space with the Star of David.
Yes.
Seeing if there's anything good in the chat. Oh, they're talking about some local breweries. Okay, yeah. Enjoy the beer talk. And no, they weren't donuts. They were bagels with a bite taken out. That is the thing. When you have IPs, when you have intellectual properties that have established such lore of their own, it is tough to redo things. Oh, I forgot about that crossover. They made the Enterprise a Transformer. At least they got the size of it right.
No, a Transformer became the Enterprise because it's actually.
Well. So, what were you trying to show there, Jay?
Oh, the future of the Israeli Space Force.
Yeah.
Mildly amusing.
We're Jews. We're Jews.
Okay, so as of November 19th, it was reported that Pine had signed on to return for the fourth installment next to Quinto, Saldana, Peg, and Urban, and that Noah Hawley was in talks to write and direct it. Interesting.
I'll see if something actually comes of it. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing is, the last time they tried to do a fourth one, which was about a year after Star Trek Beyond, because Beyond was nowhere near the success they expected and wanted it to be, there was the bit of desire that was lacking there, and plus they had everything in place. They still had all the principal actors under contract, and they had the they were just trying to figure out what was the story going to be, what was the writing going to be, and they pretty much dragged on so long that the actors were like, well, I'm going to be off doing this other shit, so hurry up and let us know what's going on with this. Because they were going to on contract, but then they started dicking around with the production stuff, and that's when I was like, you guys, figure your shit out. But
well,
now,
apparently he's been cast as Walter Cronkite in the movie Newsflash, which is in pre-production.
but yeah, so I've heard the talk about Tarantino being associated with the next installment of Star Trek.
That's actually a separate one. It'll be separate from that, but it's
yes,
before, but it's a.
Yeah, exactly. That was something that Tarantino. Anytime Tarantino picks up a project, I give him credit for this. He does it in his own way. He doesn't do it as part of a series and someone else's work. So like, he doesn't come on just to direct. He actually comes on and is part of the writing process and directing it, which is why a lot of his works are more original type stuff, and why they're actually a lot better than the rest of the BS that Hollywood has put out lately.
You mean because he's like Seth MacFarlane? He's actually a fan of the things he does movies on, when there's somebody else's IP. I mean,
Yeah. Huh. That is an interesting facet to that comic book.
Oh, I just saw Ugly German Truth's comment towards me. The future of Israeli Space Force, Spirit Science.
Oh, it hurts, but it's probably so freaking true. Which, by the way, apparently Spirit Science, Jordan has a thing for Emma Watson.
Really?
He did a video towards her for her birthday.
Oh, God. Jared, here you go. You like the name of this one?
Nice.
Hold on, I gotta go to the other server because I gotta show everybody the other name that I shared with you on Discord there, Jared. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So what do you think of that, Dave? David?
What?
So what do you think of that character name that Jay Brown decided to use? That he's pointing at on screen?
He doesn't know how to spell. That's what I think about it.
This way you can't come after me for copyright or trademark or anything like that.
It's my avatar name. It's not anything special.
I know that. I just gotta have fun with it. I was just sitting there typing names in because all the pretty much like all conceivable names related to Star Wars or Star Trek have been taken. So I'm like, oh, let me just try some very other things. So,
Oh,
what did you share?
well, speaking of, actually,
Now, if you had said Naughty Illuminated Productions, I might have had a problem with it.
well, now you just gave him another character name idea.
Not really.
So,
Which is why I'm not actually concerned about it.
so here's saying I've actually had a relatively easy time coming up with character names on STO on Star Trek Online, but granted, I only have 2 characters on there right now, and they're both 4-star admirals and above. One is a Vulcan, the other is a joined Trill. Anyone want to take a guess what the joint Trill name is that it actually let me do?
Dax, Jadzia Dax.
No,
not Jadzia.
no, you're not allowed to use Dax.
Okay, well, that's the extent of the joint trolls that I know.
Esri.
No, so that still would have been Dax, and couldn't. So keep in mind the last name, the name of the symbiote. You cannot use Dax because Esri Dax is a NPC in the game. So you can't have a bunch.
There was a joined Trill in TNG, but when they first introduced Trills, that was very different looking Trill, to be honest.
It was, but come on, who remembers the name?
Am I close to?
Oh,
where you got the name from?
that is the character that I took the name from. Losing some nerd points there, guys. Is Odan.
They didn't block that one, huh?
No, they didn't.
Wow.
Because it was a minor character in one episode from what year?
Yeah, it was like 4th season, so it was, I want to say 89.
Yeah, 89 or 90. No, the Odan episode was season 3 or 4, so that would have been 90, 91. No. 87, 88, maybe. No. God damn it, I'm getting my dates mixed up on when it started. Because
It didn't look like the later Trill at all.
No. Did not look like. Oh, that's why it looks weird. You're playing that frickin' pack of it. I refuse to play any of the Discovery storylines. Although the campaign I've been doing right now, which I've contemplated going back and restarting it, is actually the Delta Quadrant storyline. See, this is another reason why I need the dual system, because then that will be a game that I could end up streaming. As it stands right now, if I personally want to show any of the gameplay, I have to record it and then make it part of a produced video.
Which can be fun in its own right. I mean, record a bunch of gameplay and then.
Yeah, well, it can. And actually, I've noticed more of the Star Trek specific, the Star Trek specific channels have been doing that. Have been using gameplay footage of theirs from STO. Like, Lore Reloaded has been going back and talking about some of the ships, and has been using footage from STO to talk about it, and actually utilizing some of the data from that era in the presentation, and
So
rightfully
the host
giving
was
him
May
credit.
May 1991, by the way.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was towards the end of season 4. That's right.
Yeah.
But yep, when I was going through making that character, I was like, you know what? You don't see many I haven't run into many trills in STO, and then I make then I make the character, and guess what? Other than humans, the most common race I've come across are trill.
I had 2 join trills.
It's kind of like when you buy a car.
It really was, which is kind of creepy at the same time, because it kind of makes you wonder, did the game start changing characters just to make them look like they'd fit in with the character you chose? But I think what I'm going to do next is I'm contemplating actually picking a Klingon officer, but in Starfleet. I don't know if I haven't tried to do something like that, but I'm going to give it a try. Either that, or I could just full on switch over and play some of the Klingon.
I remember, wasn't there? I think there was a restriction for join trills, though. That might be why you didn't see many of them.
There may have been earlier.
German Truth's comment right now.
I'd have guessed the 12-year-old all go for the Orion slave girls. Yeah, there is that, but it also depends. Which Orion slave girls are we looking at? Are we talking TOS era? Or are we talking Enterprise era? Or
I'm gonna name my character Emperor Sato. It's gonna be a female Asian chick.
Oh, the Empress. That
was actually a great.
That was probably the highlight of Enterprise. Then
Yeah.
wait, was that season 1 or season 2?
Oh no, that
was like
Enterprise,
season 4.
Yeah, it was season
Was
4.
it 4?
I was thinking of Discovery because of season,
Oh,
because the Empress there. I totally forgot about Enterprise having Empress Sato.
oh, yeah. You know what? Ugly German Truths. That was a good one too. The Orion slave girl you're talking. Although I don't think she was an Orion. The chick in the first JJ verse movie that Kirk was shacking up with, Uhura's roommate. Because she was green skinned, but she was a redhead. And all the Orion slave girls were actually brunettes. Well, black hair. Mark Beiser, if he was talking 12-year-old emotional age, he'd be talking about right now.
The train.
Who's gonna jump the tracks? Hey, you wished your ride's coming in.
No, it's not.
Oh, you don't hear the train in the background?
Oh, I hear the train. I don't ride trains.
Nope. Gala is an Orion, according to Memory Alpha.
Really? In the alternate? Yeah. who worried of the Orion's revolving door policy regarding men. So, background information. Never swiftly referenced on screen as an Orion. Yeah, that's where it was going into the weird bit with the red hair.
Now, what got me is it supposed to be that the Orion Syndicate and the Orion slave trade are part of the same Orions?
Yes.
Because the Orion Syndicate never actually shows an Orion in Space Nine.
Well, so in DS9, when it shows the Syndicate, you're seeing
They're agents, right? It's a gang.
Yeah, the mid-tier and below is what O'Brien's storylines have ended up showing. When you get above that, that's where you would end up getting the Orion species. But I think the Syndicate started out as the management of the slave trade, which is what we actually see in Enterprise. Although the interesting bit, a little facet of it, that I wonder how much truth there was to it in Enterprise, how that one Orion captain pretty much flipped the perception of it's not the girls who are the slaves, but the men who are slaves of the women. Perhaps she was a motion sick Andorian. Oh, that would be a little more plausible. But again, Andorians have white hair, not red.
Yep.
Although, yeah, you have to admit, from Enterprise, it would have been nice to see him continue the series with Shran being a more recurring character and having his own ship.
Slave girl? A Fremen slave girl? Like, as in Dune Fremen?
Ooh, wait, no. 1984 movie version of Chani. Sorry.
There you go. She was freaking hot.
Yeah, Sean Young in her day. Boom. Ugly German truce. Don't Vulcans have green blood? She might be a Vulcan with sunburns. That is possible.
To expose one's self to the sun for pleasure is not logical.
Well, it's also not logical to expose one's genitalia to the sun thinking it would recharge your... I want to say shitras, but it's actually chakras. Ooh, new one? The new version of Chani? I can get behind that. Ah, yes, then the one from the miniseries. The one who actually went topless on screen. And it was a beautiful sight.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right, now that he's gone. Yeah, I have to agree with Leon as he was going through there. The pre-production photographs that are coming out for the new Dune movie, it looks like they're getting a lot of the details right. So I'm less cautious and definitely more optimistic about that one so far. Is that a variant of the Prometheus? Yeah.
Yeah, see.
Whee!
You wanted 2 computers in one? We have 3 ships in one.
Well, what's better than the Enterprise D being able to separate and be two attack ships at once? 3 at once. What? How are you gonna do that? Watch me. Yes, Soul Survivor. They are doing another attempt at a full big budget movie adaptation of Dune. And so far, things are looking good. Wait a minute, what did Fino say? Yes, they're doing again, but that is thing. So if they get the watchability for a movie like they did the 1984 with closer to the original actual writing, the source material that the miniseries was more accurate to, if they could blend the two of them, that would be ideal. And yeah, so now who here can name the characters?
The original Spice Girls.
It is true. That is the original Spice Girls. So, you have the Reverend Mother.
Are you talking about the names of them?
The characters, not the actresses.
Right. Right. Okay, so that's Reverend Mother Gaius Mohim.
Yep. Then Lady Jessica in the middle.
Yeah, and the Lady Jessica, and then there's the Reverend Mother from the Fremen, but I forget her name. But she's the one that died while Jessica was taking the water of life.
Yep. And does anyone remember? Well, this is how much of a nerd for that series I can be at times. I remember the name of the siege that it happened in. And that was Siege Tabor.
Yeah, see, like I wasn't paying that much attention to that kind of stuff, except like it's the little stuff like what the juice of Safu and all that stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, again, my introduction to it wasn't the movie; it was the books themselves.
Well, that's probably why you know it then, because I don't even think they mentioned the name of the siege in the movie.
No, they didn't. And again, that's where I want the visuals and watchability akin to the original movie with the story accuracy of the miniseries. That would be ideal. Oh, come on, God's Auditor, then. Come on. Well, let's get the name of that wild Reverend Mother. Oh, wait, I gave it away. Oh, so come on, God's Auditor. What's your guess to the name of the third Reverend Mother that was being shown on screen? Well, so here's the thing, Ugly German Truce. I can keep the books and the movies separate from each other enough, and that's where, when it comes to the Dune stuff, I will say this: the 1984 movie was better as a movie and was a better viewer experience than the miniseries was. The miniseries was leaps and bounds more accurate to the original novels because it was pretty much the novels put to screen. There was very little change between the two, but that was part of the downfall of the miniseries itself as well. Was there were times where it dragged on because you can get away with that in a novel, not so much on screen. So Leon, like Piter DeVries in the actual book, which I have to say, the guy that they had play Piter in the original movie, good frickin' choice.
I think the guy that played the Baron Harkonnen was a good actor too. Like, he did an excellent job at that. A floating fat man.
Ah, yes. Well, again, so that was something that they got right in the movie that it didn't really play the same in the miniseries.
Well, having Sting as Fayed, that was probably one thing I actually liked.
Yeah, and that is something that they did get right, and Leon, your guess there was right. It was the Reverend Mother Ramallo. But yeah, so that there was casting that was done right across the board for the movie, with the original movie, which Sting as Fade made sense. The guy that they had play the Beast Raban, another good choice. Sean Young as Chani, couldn't go wrong there.
Nope. The housekeeper for
the Shadow Mapes.
Shadow Mapes, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good choice. Now here's a real trivia question for you. What Robin Williams movie did she appear in after that? Linda Hunt is the actress.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else she's been. The Robin Williams movies, and trying to think of what's it. Was she in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Ew.
No.
Nope.
Trying to remember what Robin Williams did for movies back around that time.
You're thinking just right before John Belushi's death. And John Belushi and Robin were hanging out on the set of this movie.
I'm more familiar with Robin's TV series, not the movies so much, back then anyway.
Well, he was still doing Mork and Mindy at the time that they filmed this movie.
Yeah, you can count me out on that one then.
Popeye.
Very good.
Belushi was
Very
in
good.
Popeye?
Yep. She played the box. You remember the big boxer guy? She played his mother when they were boxing.
She
in
played
the
She
Blu-
she played Bluto's mother. Huh.
No,
Interesting.
she's
Wow.
not Bluto's. Not Bluto's mother. Bluto wasn't boxing in the boxing ring.
Oh.
Oh, I gotcha. The actual boxing ring boxer. The guy
Yeah,
who
the
beats
big-
the shit out of everybody for hamburgers or whatever.
Yeah.
Oxheart.
Yeah, Oxheart. She played Oxheart's mother.
IMDb is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
It is.
Thank
And
you for not cheating there.
And God's Auditor, yes, Leon got the answer right. What is the name? What was the name of House Corono's origin world? And yes, it was Salusa Secundus, which is also the training planet of the Sardaukar.
Mm-hmm. There's not. They don't believe it was.
Yeah. We're going to get the bacon emojis in there for the channel members.
They'll be available tomorrow.
Bacon.
Cool your tits, guys.
Oh, she was also Miss Schlowski from Kindergarten Cop.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so God's Auditor, a little side project that I've neglected for the past few months, but what I started doing is, since I have the entire Dune saga, with the exception of the fill-in books that Brian has done after finishing everything, finishing out the original storylines, I've been going back and taking a notebook and doing a timeline of major and minor events to actually establish a true, full, easy reference timeline for the Dune universe. So, like, in there is going to be a lot of mentions on how some of the major player houses came to be, like that interesting twist from the historical prequel of how House Harkonnen was actually the noble house that everyone looked up to, and Vorian Atreides, the progenitor of the House Atreides, was really seen as less than honorable and more of a wild card. And it wasn't until one of the later battles where people blamed Harkonnen for pretty much being a coward in battle, and Vorian taking the credit for the victory to bring prominence to his name and let him establish the house. Do I have a Road to Dune? Yes, I do have that book. There are a lot of good notes in there. See, God's Auditor, right there. That is part of why I wanted to do it in the first place. So, for those who don't know, the universe of Dune all takes place in a distant future. And we're actually the written timeline from the Butler and Jihad trilogy through the House trilogy, through the original books, and then the one turned into 2 books that Brian did at the end of it to finish up the main timeline. You have near 20,000 years of human history covering all those books. Like, if not even longer, it's at least 20,000 years. And that all takes place after the current age. They actually refer to Earth as something that is beyond myth and legend and human memory. So one of the greatest pursuits has been to try to nail down about how long do they say between our current age and when they start counting the years BG before Guild.
Well, and like the movie starts out with 10,191. Just that year alone is longer than our current calendar, so who knows how far it is. It's antiquity. The myths of antiquity it's gone.
Yeah.
No actual clue when the universe, how it relates to our current time.
Well, and that's where digging through the later books and then the prequels and also the notes in Road to Dune on what to get clues into how long between when he was writing the books, which was in the 60s, 1960s, to roughly how far out he was looking, because you're looking at least like 4,000 or 5,000 years by my estimate at this point. How many years BBY is that? We don't do that kind of conversion because all of Star Wars takes place in the past in a galaxy far, far away. So, in other words, bullshit. And you really
It'd be
named.
ABY.
Hang on. So you really named one of your ships after Tim Burton?
Yeah, look what the ship I named after Tim Burton.
It is rather fitting. But is the other one a scout, or is that the shuttle?
That's the shuttle.
Okay. Yeah. Commander's gig. Well, at least they got it appropriately titled.
I like never fly. I think when they do that shuttle event, I'll use it. That's about the only time I ever use shuttles.
Yeah.
So, thoughts on SecNav being fired?
You
didn't hear about that?
I did not.
SecNav got fired for not following Trump's point of view on the SEAL chief, which is basically let him keep his pen.
I don't know too much about how, like, higher level appointments in the military were made. Like, how is a general getting his job? And I get that the commander-in-chief, but the SecNav has to have a heck of a lot of influence. In fact, I would imagine most presidents leave it up to the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of whatever branch. It's kind of up to them to appoint generals, not directly. The only time the commander-in-chief would be involved is if there was a problem with an appointment.
Well, the problem is we're not even talking about the appointment of a major officer or anything. We're talking literally about an enlisted special warfare operator who was convicted of inappropriately having a picture taken of him with a dead body, losing his warfare insignia that he spent the last 25 years of his career.
Yeah, that's where I've said it before. If they're going to take his pin away from him, uh, just retire him.
Yeah, you don't get your toys. It's not a very compelling punishment, to be honest with you.
Well, here's the thing. So if they go through and they remove
And,
it, if they
and he earned it, regardless of what he does now. He fucking earned it.
well, so here's the thing. What they're talking about, what they're actually looking at doing, is it's pretty much revoking his qualification to wear the trident, to wear the pin. Which, here's the thing, it's not that he wouldn't be allowed to wear it in uniform at that point, because he did earn it and did meet and exceed the qualification requirements. So he did earn it, so he is still a SEAL, but he will no longer be deployable or have the active qualification. So in a way, they would put him into a requal status, but not allow him to complete the requalification. Which other warfare pins, so like even on the sub side, you change ships, you have to
Recall.
you have to requal at every ship, every deployable unit you go to. You have to requal on your primary warfare pin across the board. But the SEALs are in a different subset of that. In that when you go from one SEAL team to another, you don't necessarily requal, because the way their assignments on that stuff is unique to their environment. So by taking his trident away from him, they're saying you're no longer going to be serving in the role as a deployable SEAL, and you are not going to be, and because he's enlisted, he's not going to be he's not even going to have a support role that he can do, and even then he's pretty much going to be shunned from the community. So they're not going to keep him there as a leadership position, with where they know the community is going to take issues with him being in a leadership role. So their options are take that status as a SEAL away from him and then relocate him elsewhere in the Navy. However,
I could see quartermaster. I could just totally see him doing some shit like that.
Well, but here's the thing: is you still have that question because of his pay grade. Anywhere he goes, he's going to be a senior leadership position, just simply by his rank, just off the bat with that. That being said, his name is known. Wherever he transfers to, the baggage is going to arrive there long before he does. So at that point, he's over 20 years in, retire him.
It's a career killer regardless of what happens.
It is. His career is effectively over. With or without what the president did to retain his pay grade, his career is effectively over. If they go ahead and decide to take away the warfare, they might as well retire him.
The highest enlisted rank for the Army when I was in was E9.
Yep.
Is this an E9
I think
Navy equivalent?
He's an E7.
I thought he was a senior chief, not just a chief.
Is he? I thought he was I thought he was just a chief.
He was a master chief to start, I believe.
So he got busted to E9. They wanted to bust him to E6 and kick him out, and that's when Trump intervened and said, no, you're only busting him one pay grade, not three.
Yeah, but Trump also pointed out that he doesn't lose his trident.
Which that's the issue.
Yeah, so if he doesn't lose his trident, he can still stay in the community. They'll just put him in a desk job somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll
No,
treat him
he was-
him like a
just-
pariah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
just
until he gets out.
He was just a chief.
Hmm.
Well, he's still a chief.
Yeah,
He's just.
okay. But even then, chief at 25 years, if they're going to do that, he's at a retirable year mark. They don't have to keep him on active duty.
I don't know what the retention control point for the Navy is on the whole E7, E8, E9 game.
If you're above 20 years and you do something, one of the punishment measures is almost across the board. You go into retirement, especially if you have an issue where there is going to be serious doubts about how effective your leadership impact will be, if there will be any positive impact. And that's really what they're weighing, is because of everything that went on and because of how public it is and because of how messed up the entire thing has been, partly because of, well, mostly because of Trump at this point, he is not going to be as effective as a leader as they would need someone of his pay grade and above to be. He's never going to get advanced. That he is stuck in his pay grade right now, that he's at right now. Full stop.
That's why I said they'll keep him in the community, but they'll stick him someplace off the team. He's just going to be basically, weighing down a fucking chair somewhere behind a desk, pushing paper or working in a fucking supply shop or fucking armory or whatever he's going to do. They just won't put him on the team.
Yeah, at which point he has 25 years in? Why?
20. He joined in '99, I guess.
Okay, so he's hit 20. At 20 at an E7, what's the point of even keeping him on active duty at that point?
Right.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Shore
What's
job, basically. A shore job. You wouldn't even be stuck you wouldn't be on a boat at all.
But here's the problem, though. If because Trump not only told him to keep his Trident, but basically wiped his fucking slate clean with how with the UC&J processes, there's nothing really in the Navy anywhere saying that he has to get out now. Basically, it never happened. According the
on
paperwork
paper,
wise.
Yeah, on paper.
So if he gets kicked out by the Navy because of something that he did wrong, but technically he never did anything wrong, then he can basically tell the Navy, "Fuck you, I'm gonna go to my retention control point," which I think for E7, well, I don't know. For me, it was 25 years, and I got it at 23. But
yeah.
So I know as in the Army, you say, like, if you're a staff sergeant and you're coming up on, if you're at 19 years or 18 years and you come up on the overweight program or you fail your PT test and blah, 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 Army can't kick you out. Army will just sit there and flag you. You're definitely not going to get promoted anymore. But because you're so close to your retirement, the Army will not kick you out. Army, even though technically, if you're a lower rank, if you're like not lower rank, but if you're an E6 who fails a PT test or becomes overweight or blah 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 blah, and you have say 15 years in, the Army can kick you out.
Yeah.
But when it becomes 18 to 19 years in, the Army can't touch you because you're so close to retirement. They have too much invested in you. They have to, and you have too much money in your retirement fund for them to kick you out. Mm-hmm. So they basically have to send you all the way to your retention control point. So basically, as soon as you hit 20, you're out. You might be flagged. You ain't going anywhere, and you've been doing overweight PT at lunchtime for 2 fucking years, but you're done. But with that Navy guy, he went through and got convicted, blah, blah, blah. Then Trump basically, that conviction, I'm overturning that, and you get to keep your Trident. So there's no regulation now saying anywhere that he has to be kicked out or he has to be kept off a team or he has to be doing anything. But the community will basically shun him into the point of, well, we really don't need we have some spots on some teams, but we're going to fill those with some other people. Until we get a spot, we're just going to put you behind this desk, and you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
and you're gone.
Well, but again, here's the thing with that. He's already over 20. Even though administratively on paperwork everything was written off and it doesn't exist, it didn't happen, the stigma is still stuck to him to where, yeah, he's not going to be a part of a team. But here's the thing. In order to keep the Trident, the SEALs actually do have that honor bit to it, which is why their warfare pin, that qual pin of theirs, is a whole different beast entirely.
Yeah, but here's the problem you run into that. The Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces said you're keeping it. There is nothing above him that will tell them that they will remove it. By him giving that order, it is a lawful order. If they take it away from him, they are disobeying a lawful order by the Commander-in-Chief. And they're fucked if they're an officer and they do that. There's no officer or no admiral is going to put their pen to paper to try to overrule the President of the United States. Regardless of how everybody feels about Trump, everybody has to stop and think he is the Commander-in-Chief. The buck stops at his fucking table. He makes the decision. That's the end of it. And that's why the Secretary of the Navy got dismissed, is he wanted to go against the Commander-in-Chief. The Commander-in-Chief makes the decision. You can kind of, well, maybe, Mr. President, that's not a good idea about this and that. But if you tell him, no, we're not doing this, we're going to do it this way, it's not going to happen.
Hey, guys.
Hey, showed up.
Yeah, well, goddamn, it's cold outside. I'm going to see if my back door's open so I can sneak in the back door. The reason I jumped in is because I think might have a little insight on whether he keeps the Trident or not. So if it's similar to within my field, whereas in holding my particular MOS is not a right, it's not, it is, you hold this MOS at the pleasure of the commander of that field. And if you do not abide by the requirements for that field, you can be removed from the field, regardless of anything else, whether it's criminal, whether it's personal, whether it's whatever. It can be revoked from you if the administrator of that field and whatever procedures they have in place to evaluate that determines that you are no longer capable of sitting in that field. So I've seen this with criminal investigations with, excuse me, as a CID agent, where minor misconduct, where, if you're a cook, you're an MP, you're an infantryman, you get a slap on the wrist and you continue on with your day. But in those specialty fields where being in the field is not a right, it's a privilege, it can be revoked if you violate the code of conduct of that particular field. You can be a shitbag in the infantry and still be an infantryman. There are certain branches where you can't be a shitbag. So, from everything I know about Gallagher, he's at retirement. He wants to retire. He just wants to get his benefits of serving his country. The question for the current conversation is the Trident. And that Trident is controlled by the field. So, the one question is, does he retire? Which he's going to retire. The second question is the administrative decision whether he retains the Trident. And now, like Guy Spew just said, the Commander-in-Chief said it's going to happen. But holding the Trident or not has nothing to do with the actual retirement of the service member. That is just the prestige of holding that honor when you get out.
The Trident is basically the equivalent of, say, like airborne wings or air assault wings or Pathfinder. You get the skill, and later you can become a complete fucking dirtbag in your military career and get fucking chaptered out. But you're still going to retain your parachute wings. You're still going to keep your dope on the rope fucking helicopter.
The thing with those, though, is there's no administrative board to decide whether you keep it or not. You just keep it. But with your long tab in the Army for the Special Forces, I've seen long tabbers get their tab removed. Yes, you're at 25 years, you're a major, you're a sergeant major, you're going to get your retirement, but your long tab is gone. You are no longer qualified as a Special Forces soldier because you did not meet the honorability requirements to maintain it.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
route they're going after with the Trident because, again, it's part of that community. Like I said, different beast entirely compared to other chest candy. So, like me with my wings and my E-Swas, once I qualified on my surface, I never had to touch that stuff ever again, no matter the boat that I went to, because it wasn't my primary warfare. But my primary warfare, every time I would go to a different boat on a different deployment, I would actually, so like as a Sea Optet, where I'm permanently assigned to a shore station, but whenever this particular squadron would deploy, I would go with them to that boat. When I would go out for the 6-month deployment with that boat, I would requal, but all I would have to do is take the written test. I wouldn't have to do the board again. I only had to do the board for the initial qualification that I did on the Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, there's a difference between having the badge and doing the job.
Yeah.
Just like, for that, you have the badge, you met the initial requirements. You don't do it for 5 years, you're going to have to requal, but that doesn't revoke your badge, because when you got that badge, there was no secondary requirement for maintaining it. And I put in the chat in YouTube a little bit ago that for the Army, the biggest thing is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The guards at the Unknown Soldier, they have a strict honorable service requirement. If you have a Tomb of the Unknown Soldier guard badge and 20 years later you get a DUI, you can lose that badge just for getting a DUI.
Yeah, the issue here, though, is that, there's no question that the Navy could remove the Trident. It's that the Commander-in-Chief has inserted himself into it. So
yeah, that is the touchy part to it, and that's where it's gotten all sorts of effed up. Because here's the thing: had Trump not stepped in and said that bit to it, there would be no question where administratively he would be disqualified from that warfare, and as has already been stated, he's looking at retirement and wants to retire anyways. That's what they would do.
Yeah.
But overall, the SecDav getting fired, though, I mean, he was already threatening to resign over this anyway, which kind of led to the firing in the first place. And I mean, really, if I was the SecDav, I would have just resigned anyway, just because if the Commander-in-Chief's going to micromanage, then why the fuck am I even playing along?
Well, you got to remember, he may be the Secretary of Navy, but he still serves at the pleasure of the President of the United States.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If the president's going to fucking micromanage, let me just get out of the way and let you do your fucking bullshit. That's what I mean.
No, it's the same. It's the same thing when I had to, when I was out in the field or something like that, or when I was deployed and I had to deal with officers and they want to start micromanaging shit, I just fucking backed up and go, fine, you fuck this chicken, and if you fuck it and it fucking dies, I'm going to be there to bury it with you.
All right, this is your squad. Have fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I told when I became an E7 and I got my very first platoon leader, and I basically sat him down like, okay, this is who I am, this is this. And I said, but here's the deal, sir. If we go out in the field or whatever, you start micromanaging shit, I'm just going to back off, sit in my fucking truck, and let you run shit. I'm going to let you run right into the fucking ground, and when people come ask questions, I'm going to start pointing fingers. He's like, Roger that, Sergeant. We'll keep out of your hair. It's like, that's right, sir. Just sit here in the fucking office and write awards and write some stuff up for AAMs for field.
Yeah, you tell me what to do, I'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, just I basically told him at this point, sir, I got fucking 19 years in. I don't need you to fucking babysit me. I know what I need to fucking do. Just basically sit here in the office. If I need down motor pool, I'll give you a call. Otherwise, stay off the fucking line because you're just gonna make things fucking worse. With all due respect, of course, but I basically lay down the law. Just sit in your fucking office and do your desk work. But if you come down here and start barking orders about what we got to do without going through me, and you talk to the soldiers, and shit gets fucked up, I'm just gonna start pointing fingers when the first sergeant comes down and goes, "Hey, Sergeant so and so, why is your line all fucked up?" I'm gonna go, "Because that butter bar over there fucking told him to do something else."
Hey,
I
guys,
can't tell him. Yeah.
You know what happened when I pinned E7 and realized that I wanted to keep doing my job? I became a warrant officer.
The thing is, though, in air defense, if you become a warrant officer, you go to fucking Patriot units, and that ain't fucking happening. I'm a fucking Bradley guy. I'm a fucking tanker. I like fucking being on tracks. I hate being on the fucking Humvees, blah, blah, blah. Even though now I actually went to Gulf Planet and I have a bidding on a fucking M998 to, hopefully I win. I get my own Humvee. But when I was in, yeah, I'm going to take that bitch up to Alaska. If I get it, if I don't get this one, I'll just put it in for the next auction. But I'll take it up to Alaska and go bounce around to the countryside. But yeah, I don't, in the air defense community, like I said, if you become a warrant, you go straight to fucking Patriot units, and you sit in the fucking desk, and you never get to lead soldiers again. You never get to do anything fucking fun again. It's all make believe and magical fucking high med kingdom. So I basically just said, fuck that noise. I'm gonna stay here online until my career's over. And oh yeah, where do you want to go? Fort Irwin. Why? Because they still had one of the platoons for the battery still had tracked vehicles. They had the Osvies, which was kind of like a mock-up of a BMP, and I was able to be on tracks and be on the track platoon and be a platoon sergeant for a track platoon until the unit deactivated. So I was finally at my MOS to be the very last platoon sergeant of a SHORAD unit with a track platoon, and being a former Bradley guy, I kind of took it as a big honor. But
yeah, for me, it's pretty much the exact opposite. Once I pinned E7, it's nothing but sitting behind a desk and doing admin, beans, and bullets. And if I wanted to actually do the job again ever, I had to go warrant. And that threw me back into a W1 position where I was sitting next to an E5 doing the same thing for another year until I became a team chief.
Yeah, I saw that option when I came up at E7. People was talking about like, hey man, why don't you go warrant now? And I was like, I fucking know warrants in the air defense community, and that's not happening. After you go through warrant officer school, you're going to go through your little warrant shit, and then you're going to be basically pretending how to fix fucking, radars and stuff on fucking Patriots, or trying to fix fucking fiber optic cables on Patriot units, or you sit in the fucking desk in the motor pool pretending to fucking order parts for shit that you have no idea what you're looking at because you don't have the fucking skill sets. So it's like, no, fuck that.
Over here, we didn't let butter bars do. They didn't let butter bars do anything important. So.
Yeah, the big difference for me though is that I don't have any O grades that have ever, will ever, or can actually do my job. We don't have O grades. We have warrants and enlisted.
Yeah, it's just I know the community for the air defense branch. I just know what happens to warrant officers when they go become warrants in the air defense community, where they end up disappearing. Because I watched it my entire fucking career, where they actually happened to end up, and when they got rid of the Bradley batteries in the air defense community with Bradley battalions. All I saw was if my future was fucking high med, which Patriot or THAAD, and I was like, that's not going to happen. So I'm gonna stick my time out here at Fort Bliss, and then when I got the opportunity, I was like, hey, where do you want to go before you retire? I was like, I want to go to Fort Irwin. I want to be back to being away from fucking Patriot and air defense units. I want to go back to being with a line regiment like the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, because Bradley guys were always stuck with like 1st Armored Division or 2nd Armored Divisions. We weren't with air defense battalions or air defense, not corps. I can't remember the fucking what they call them now anymore.
Brigade.
But I just could, air defense brigades and stuff like that. I couldn't stand that. I can't stand being that kind of stuff with air defense. I like being where you're down there with the tanks and the Bradleys and the guys in the fucking foxholes and running around fucking chasing people. And that's how I wanted to be with my final parts of my career, was to be at Fort Irwin chasing Americans out there in the fucking desert and killing everybody and shooting down helicopters and being a fucking platoon sergeant for not a Bradleys anymore, but the Osby platoon that had tracks, so I could still practice my stuff I learned back in the 90s and through the early 2000s. But I saw I knew where warrants would go in the air defense community, and I wear glasses, so I know I couldn't go aviation, because that was one thing I wanted to do when I was a young soldier. When I became E5, I thought about going warrant to be aviation, but I went to started looking at the physical, and my eyes weren't good enough for it, so I just stuck it out and said, fuck that, so I'll become a master gunner, and I went through master gunner school and all that jazz, and here's Guys Few on his long rants again.
I should probably run back into my family. I ran outside, then into the garage, because I just figured I'd share my piece on the admin side for keeping your your bling.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think the order from Trump coming down will be, well, he can still wear it, but he's not going to be qualified.
So my only question is, does this now make it legal to pose with dead detainees in pictures?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't change the regulation, and he just basically said it doesn't matter what you did. Is
Yeah.
by this.
Technically,
Right.
it's still illegal. It's just he stuffed in.
Yeah, he's still
it
gotten.
just means that you just got a precedent to say, hey, Gallagher got away with it. Why can't I?
Yeah,
so
that's what's.
all you do is the commander in chief to step in for your behalf, and you're all set to go. So.
Yeah,
that's a big hurdle to get by.
I don't know. Judging by his current trend, it's not that hard. This isn't the only one where someone has done something extremely fucked up and he stepped in.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to run back into my family. It's good talking to you. I'm going to try and get back in here the next couple of weeks as I slowly settle into family life again.
Hey, don't worry about it, man. We're good here.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys.
Yep.
Later.
So I got a question for you, Jay. Because I don't know if but the only people that had to deal with JOs on a regular basis on at least my boat were nukes. Did it work that same way with you, Jay?
For the most part, until they qualify, then
Yeah, because
then
the
you
only
can up for-
watch station that any of the JOs ever could stand was the engineering officer of the watch. So unless you
Right.
were maneuvering, you didn't have to fucking deal with the JO. I mean, they might be
What the hell is a JO?
Junior officer.
Okay.
O2s, O3s, O1s, O2s, not O3s.
Well, it depends on how old they are when they come to the boats the first time. But yeah,
In the Army, it's they come out of after they go through either ROTC or West Point, then they go to whatever branch they're supposed to be going to. Then they get all programmed at branch, and they come down to the unit thinking they know everything, and then they fucking run to the NCOs like me who basically tell them you don't know shit, sit in the fucking office and don't bother me. But occasionally you would get the ones who were former enlisted who would walk in and go, okay, I'm so-and-so, and I went to green to gold as the staff. So I was like, fuck yes. That's me. He's not a fucking retard. What do you need, sir? I just need this and this.
Mustangs are different. I'm not counting Mustangs.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, but we would have. But the thing is, though, it all for Army, ROTC ones were not that bad. They really weren't that brainwashed into the whole Army thing. It's the West Pointers that we would get, the butter bars, the O1s who come down from West Point, and they were so fucking brainwashed into the Army thing. It was like, a private, all doe-eyed going to the basic training, then coming out even worse doe-eyed, thinking everything in the Army is magical. But that was the biggest problem for me, was West Pointers.
Well, the pipeline that the officers had to go through for submarine was so long that we very rarely saw O1s.
Yeah, almost every O1 that came aboard would be considered the bull ensign, because how long the pipeline is.
Yeah.
For the Army wise, it was. I'm first starting to walk down to my office and knock on the door and peek his head and go, "Hey, Sergeant," saying my name, of course, but "Hey, Sergeant, I need to head up S1. You got a new platoon leader." Oh, fuck me. Yeah, what's his name? Oh, he's Lieutenant so and so. So I walk up there, and here's this fucking lieutenant. Basically looks like a basic training private who just showed up with the little butter bars on his thing, and he's like, "Hey, I'm your platoon leader." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a talk. Let's go to my office." And then we walk down the office and yada yada. Then I was like, "Okay, sir." I give him the whole fucking spiel. Then I tell him, "So I'm going to go ahead and let the platoon go for the day since it's the end of the day, and I need to make sure you have my counseling, my initial counseling ready for tomorrow morning, sir." "Well, I don't understand what you mean by initial counseling." "Well, here's the book. Here's a couple examples. I'll see you in the morning."
Okay, I have to read this out from Soul Survivor, who decided to do a super sticker for $1 of the poop emoji. He then followed it up with this message in chat. "Sorry, I do respect you and your channel, but if you're going to let me pay 99 cents for a poop emoji, then I will do it."
We got to read the comment before that one underneath the super sticker.
I feel like the peak of human achievement is defined by the poop emoji. Oh.
So he's basically saying that comment is just the shit, huh?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And I definitely have to agree. Your in the Navy, we call them Mustangs because they broke away from the herd. Were definitely the better officers to work for and work with because they knew the bullshit. They knew what actually took place at the enlisted ranks, so they were more understanding of the idiocy that was rolling downhill. So when they actually came out and said, no, we have to play this game, you knew that they had given their opinion of it back. Not saying I'm not going to tell my guys to do this, but you know this is fucking retarded, right? Whereas your academy grad or your straight commissioning wouldn't have that wherewithal, wouldn't have that experience to go along
Wouldn't
with
have a
it.
spine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is my QAO when I was on the Kitty Hawk was a Mustang. My division officer, Mustang. And we had an AT warrant officer in the division office as well. So our direct leadership from the officer side of the house knew the game and knew the BS that we had to deal with, aside from their view from the officers in. So it made the day-to-day so much easier, but a lot of the shit that came down from flag level, that was the main pain in the ass stupid decision bullshit that we had to deal with in Japan. Was airman so-and-so from air department decided to go get drunk and be stupid and puke all over a Japanese national. So guess what? All of you E4 and belows, you're gonna be on Cinderella Liberty in your home port for the next week.
What's Cinderella Liberty or whatever it's called?
Be in your bunk by
Be back
midnight.
by midnight. Yeah,
Okay,
so-
gotcha.
Or you turn into a pumpkin.
Gotcha.
And in the winter, that can be very true. Hey, they and them.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But no,
Yeah,
guys,
the only-
put it in perspective for us, the submarine officers we have. Like, okay, let's say someone comes fresh out of the academy, they get their commission, they're going submarines. Well, first they have to go through the nuclear pipeline. That alone is like
2.5 years or so.
about a year and a quarter. The pipeline they have to go through.
For
And then,
for the officers, yeah.
that's just the nuclear pipeline. After that, they then have to go through the submarine officer basic course at Groton.
Yep. Which
So by the time they've gotten to us, they've already been commissioned for over a year and a half.
And here's what's nice about that is that school that they do in Groton, at least in the mid 90s, it was all chiefs that were the instructors. So they were already getting the knowledge from senior enlisted, who were getting them used to the fact that no, you're fucking retarded. When you get to your boat, these are the people you need to listen to. Trust your people below you.
Yeah. We never get those fresh out of the academy types. Luckily, they've been sent through the system a bit before they've gotten to this.
Well, in the Army, at least in the air defense community, when you get a warrant, like I said, when I told talking to BM that warrants in the air defense community, they're supposed to be the subject matter experts, and pretty much it's the Patriot or the THAAD missile system. That's the only thing they need to be. The Stinger missile, there's no such thing as a Stinger missile warrant officer. It's either Patriot or THAAD, and their limited experience, besides sitting in the fucking water pool ordering parts and whatnot, is if they're out in the field and like the radar goes down, which the fucking Patriot radars love to fucking go down all the fucking time, especially when they get hot, and they want to deploy them to fucking deserts, who knows why. But Patriot radars break all the fucking time, and a warrant officer basically go down there, open up a panel, and go, Yep, looks like it's a blown fuse. Let me call fucking Northrop Grumman to come down here and get you a fuse. And they get back in their car and fucking drive off. You don't see them for another fucking week. Or until the fucking Northrop Grumman guys show up. And then here comes the warrant officer with his Northrop Grumman contractors. Oh, hey, open up the panel. They need to swap out the fuse. I'm going to go sit over here and drink coffee while they do it. Oh, they did it? Let me check it out. Does it work? Do a self-test. Does the self-test work? You're good. I'm going back to my fucking office.
Actually, that was something. So mentioned Patriot warrant officer stuff was reminding me because I thought it was hilarious. All of the MOS equivalents to my NEC were all Patriot warrant officer stuff. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but like I said, they're supposed to be this. They go to the contract. They're the ones who make these fucking missile systems, and they're supposed to be trained on all the stuff that the manufacturer knows about it. But I've been told by fucking warrant officers exactly what fucking happens. They just get fucking drunk. They occasionally go to class. They do what they have to. They get the fuck out of there, and then they're done. But they don't retain much of anything. Like I said, the fucking radar's down. What'd you guys' your maintenance checks on the system say? Well, it blew a fucking A911 fuse on circuit panel such and such. Oh, really? Open up the panel. Yep, that looks like a blown circuit a fuse. And then they fucking walk off. You don't see them again. Well, you just did the same thing a fucking E3 with a book just fucking figured out.
Yeah, well, and that was a thing that I actually looked up to the warrant officers on the Navy side of it, because to be a Navy chief warrant officer, you have to either obtain or be board eligible for E7, which means you have that in-rate specific knowledge set and prolonged experience to draw from. So when you see a warrant officer with the specialty mark in the Navy, they actually have that experience in that rate to draw from, which was actually really nice. Although what was interesting, because of the age of the warrant officer that we had on the Kitty Hawk, he technically wasn't an AT, even though that was the specialty mark he wore. But that's because he was an AX. He was a fire control guy that got merged into AT.
Most of the guys that I knew who were when my MOS was shutting my second MOS when it was shutting down 14 Romeo, the Bradley linebacker. First off, I'd never seen the linebacker. I was always on M2A2s, but when they were our branch was getting rid of the stuff, and they're basically telling everybody to go fucking four ways of the wind, either reclass, you stay in shoreway, you become a fucking Avenger crew member, or you go warrant, or you go officer. And all the ones that I knew who went warrants all fucking went someplace else, like aviation, on the mechanic side of the house. But none of the fucking guys that I knew went over to air defense warrant officer and got stuck in fucking Patriot, because they were all fucking smart enough to know I'm not fucking getting in that goddamn job. It's not. Yeah.
So I'm really wondering why they need a LDO/warrant officer insignia for this.
Oh, for the suppo?
Supply clerk.
Yeah.
The ship's clerk, they'd be working supply.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, really? You can't even commission an officer to be a supply officer anymore?
Well,
Oh, hey, Rich could have been an LDO. He was about as smart.
I don't know about that.
No, see,
about as.
Here's the funny thing: a warrant officer, AG, would actually be the one drafting the forecast, or at least proofreading it. But the one that I find interesting is the data processing one.
There's a lot missing there too. There should be a lot.
Well, no,
These are officially from the Navy site.
These are the LDO specialties, though the warrant officer specialties. Yeah, so like on my side of it, you would either you would see a lot of the AT rate or the aviation maintenance tech, that one down there. That is AD. Those are the engine guys of power plants. Those are the two general places you'll see warrant officers who are pretty much assistant division officers, or in the absence of a commissioned officer, they will fill the role of the Divo.
I'm sure glad the Army just has branches.
Later, C4.
I remember my first tour in Korea. We had two warrant officers in the motor pool. One was for the tracks and one was for the wheels. And those fucking guys were goddamn old as shit. And you would never see them in the fucking morning for PT because they didn't have to show up anyways. They could do what the fuck they want. They would show up at like around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the motor pool when you're supposed to be there at 9. Is nobody can tell them what the fuck to do except for the battery commander, and he didn't give a rat's ass. But anyways, those guys would show up for maybe an hour or so, go over some paperwork, sign some shit, disappear, come back after lunch with 2 cases of beer under their fucking arms, walk back to the motor pool office, put that shit on top of the refrigerator, do a couple more hours worth of fucking work, and then go back to their fucking their rooms that are right outside the motor pool fence, and fucking drink beers from the window, yelling at the fucking mechanics that they're doing shit wrong. That was our maintenance warrants. And I still remember this fucking day doing track maintenance and having one of them fucking yelling at me from the window, drunk as fuck, telling me that was the wrong way to change tack pads.
Yeah, a few of these ones are gone because so the ordnance tech, technically they've gotten rid of the torpedo man rate.
Ordnance tech was on the first one.
Yeah, but they were using the center device of the aviation ordnance tech on the other one.
The electronics tech's there, but they didn't have it on the other one.
Yeah.
That bottom one at the very bottom, from a distance, looks like a moth hit a windshield.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. It was a different mark. The one before was the torpedo.
Torpedoes. On the
the supply core.
That's the ordnance technician submarine. So
yeah.
Speaking of torpedoes, on the Bradley, when you cycle the gun, the 25 mil. I got an echo. Cycle the 25 millimeter gun. Because it cycles by electric motor. Anyways, when you cycle it, it'll still cycle. But if you have it's called the manual safe. It basically makes it so the firing pin can't slam forward, but you can still cycle the gun. And they always called if you cycle the gun and they call it launching or torpedo out of the eject port, which was basically a live round. The eject port on the 25 millimeters over the barrel, on top of the gun. So they will call it fucking launching a torpedo on the deck if you cycled the 25 millimeter with on manual safe. And if you're fucking with people in the tower, you just go ooga ooga, torpedo on deck, torpedo on deck, dive, and everybody just laugh on the fucking radio because everybody knows what the fuck just happened. There's this big fucking blue torpedo sitting on top of your deck. Guys doing his stories.
So, what is an engineering woe doing with an undes airman?
Probably at school, doing a uniform inspection. That's what it looks like. Actually, it's on a ship, so
yeah, that's aboard ship.
I'm assuming just doing a uniform inspection.
Yeah, but he's laughing, so it's not a restriction thing. So again, I guess I'm trying to wonder.
Is it an in-ranks?
It could just be the switch from winter to summer uniform inspection that some commands do. We never did.
each command I was at did. It was just most of the time it would get delegated down to the shops, and most of my E6s and E7s would be like, you know what, hangar inspection. Just bring it in and let me see it.
Yep.
I don't believe uniform inspections were very common on submarines in general. So
No, they weren't.
because
No,
I've never heard of one.
When I first
think
came
the
in the
last-
army, came in the army in '93, every first of the month was paid activities. And that's when we had Class A inspections. And then when I retired out of the army, I went almost 2 years without wearing my Class A uniform because we didn't do any more in ranks anymore. And the army stopped doing them. I pulled that bitch out of the closet. I was like, holy fuck, I'm not going to fit in this thing anymore. And then I had to update all my awards and shit. I was like, oh fuck, mate, this is going to be expensive.
My second to last year, especially the last year I was in Japan, I stood so many shore patrol watches. I had to have my dress and work uniforms ready to go, simply because as an E5, that was the watch that I stood in port when I was on duty.
For me, is like I said, I went almost 2 full years of not wearing my Class A's. And normally you wear your class, not normally, but a lot of people in SEALs wear their Class A's a lot more because they go to like balls and fucking regimental stuff. But you're talking to this, and this Sergeant First Class is like, fuck no, I'm not going to a goddamn ball. I'm not going to the regimental shit. I'm going to stay in my fucking house. Well, it doesn't look good. It's like, I really don't give a shit. Well, we can make you go. And it's like, well, you can't make me pay for it, so we're going to be an impasse.
Yeah, that's always the fun battle. Is like, no, you're going to be there. You're going to be working. It's like, all right, then you're feeding me without whether you want to or not.
But the thing is, as a Sergeant First Class, you can't make me do a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
You can sit there and say you're going to go there, and I'm going to go there, and I'm becoming the most fucked up uniform. And my first sergeant can chew my fucking ass. My platoon leader can think he's going to chew my ass. My battery commander is definitely not going to touch my ass. So you might as well just hand me over to the fucking colonel to fucking chill up my ass, but he can't do anything to me either. So I'm just going to sit there and find this place to the wall and stare at it until you're done talking. Then I'm going to walk out and laugh because you can't take my rank, you can't bust me down, you can't take my money, you can't do anything. So I'm just going to become an asshole. So
Is that why so many people in the army of that rank are an asshole? Because they can?
And the thing is, in the Army, when you become a Sergeant First Class, you're considered a senior non-commissioned officer. So you fall under a whole different... It's like being a chief, I guess, in the Navy. But also, the Army... The people who promote you, you know, say like if you're an E4, or sorry, E1, E2, E3, E4, the battery commander has the authority to promote you. And E6 is... it's all based on points and whatnot. But when you become a Sergeant First Class, it's all done by a promotion board. You get selected, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And
so you get selected by the promotion board, and so your promotion authority is usually a 1 or a 2-star general. So a full-bird colonel can't bust it, unless it's a judge and all whatnot. But say like a light colonel... And some full-bird colonels can't touch a Sergeant First Class. They can't bust them down or anything like that. So it'd be different if I got like a DUI or something like that. But say I went in there and I had a fucking case of the ass because my platoon leader was doing something. So I fucking dragged his ass to the fucking office and yelled and screamed at him. He fucking told me to keep my mouth shut. You know, basically he told me to get position of attention. You know, this never happened. But he told me to get position of attention. I go tell him to go fuck himself and tell him to get the fuck up. You know, basically screaming disrespect. If I was an E6 or an E5, I'd get busted down, but as an E7, I can't be touched.
Yeah, similar thing with the Navy. So the way the promotions worked on the enlisted side there, going for E4, E5, E6, there was the test every 6 months that would get you points. You exceed the point threshold for that cycle, you would get that next pay grade. But going from E6 to E7, oh shit, yeah, fuck that.
It's just
go-
the whole.
Going for E7, it's once a year. You still have a test to see if you are board eligible. If you pass the test and are deemed as board eligible, you have to submit a package of your service record to the convening board in Millington, Tennessee, for them to go through it and determine, are you being promoted to E7 or are you a wait?
In the Army, how you get promoted is to E7 is a basic. It's they call it the promotion board, and it's a whole bunch of E9s will come around from all the branches and get all the E7s in the United States Army, all their files, and then they take those files and they give them, they divvy them up, and they'll look through the files, and the first thing they'll look for, okay, is this guy flagged, or is when I say flag in the Army, it means disciplinary action, like he's overweight or whatnot, or failed to speak this. If they're flagged, they go right into immediately the reject pile. Those guys getting promoted. So they start going through again. They say, okay, this year we're looking for this is the priorities we want. So if they say we want the top of the pile to be drill sergeants, and we want the next pile to be master gunners, and after that, airborne, air assault, blah, 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 or however they want to do it. But they got their priorities that they want to put in that year. So they start looking through all the package, and okay, this guy doesn't have drill sergeant or anything like that, so he goes at the bottom of the pile. This guy has drill sergeant, but he doesn't have this amount of time in the grade, so he goes to a different pile. So basically, you go through and they find out, they narrow down their pile, and that's like the first couple of days. And then after that, they take that pile, and then they give that to it's kind of hard to explain, but they take the people that you looked at in your pile that you rejected like that. All that right there goes to another sergeant major who looks at your pile, and you get a different pile to look at. That way, there's no favoritism. That way, it's hard to fucking explain exactly how in the Army, the sergeant first class, it's basically a big promotion board. They look for certain years. They look for certain things.
It's like our chief board, so we know what you're talking about.
The chief board is similar because they get all the packages in of the board eligible people, and they have their quota based on rate, on specialty, where, okay, in this specialty we have these many people, so let's go through the records, and you have your automatic disqualifiers in there, and then they take that stack and try to order it in okay, this one meets every check mark, all the way down to someone who doesn't meet any of the check marks they're looking for, like warfare. Do they have one or both warfare quals? What do they have for extra duties? What, where have they been stationed? So, like, my case, had I stayed in, I was.
What degrees do they have?
Now they're looking at degrees and such. Had I stayed in, I was guaranteed to make E7. Guaranteed. All I had to do was pass the test and make board, and I would have made chief because I had a number of things working for me. Both warfare qual. I had done a tour of arduous sea duty, the forward deployed shit. That counts extra, because you have with it being a second duty station of mine, that shows that I volunteered for it, not I got told to do it on paper. And then with the degrees that I got while I was in, I had a lot of those tick marks in my favor, plus I had one other. With when I would have been going up for chief, there still would have been E9s that were going through the filtering process who would have the name recognition of knowing my dad, which that was the only time I would have been, okay, that can help. But beyond that, I was on track for all the check marks. I just couldn't deal with the bullshit anymore.
Yeah, I got picked up on E7. I got picked up on my first look, and I was number 4 on the list. So that's how I got mine. Because it's all in the Army. It's all by branches, and the branch, and the air defense branch gets so many E7s a year, and aviation gets so many a year. So you got to.
Oh shit!
If they're.
Yeah, here's the thing. if for some reason I wasn't a chief already, I would definitely have made it this time around, because that is the highest number of ATs I've seen for the active duty cycle in a while.
Yeah, this was this last fiscal year, so
Yeah.
the one that just happened.
Look at those small numbers for FT, given the fact that there's like one chief per boat.
31 right
Maybe.
below it.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like,
But yeah, so these are the quotas of what they're looking for each of so the rating would be your branch specialty. So my specialty, AT, between intermediate and a squadron level, a grand total of 127 candidates would be promoted from E6 to E7. Actually, they just got pinned last month.
yeah. And then mine is ETV, and they had 59 for mine. For tech, they had 31.
There's not a
Wow.
lot of FTs. We're a very small rating.
You guys got big ass numbers in the Army and Air Defense branch. You might get three or 4 or 5, maybe 6 E7s.
So, to give you an idea, that 127 for ATs, that is the highest number I've seen for them in a while, and that
303 for HM. My God.
yeah, and want to know how many of them were FMF? But so on the AT side, that 127 would have been, by my count, roughly a 3% advancement rate.
That's a lot of MAs too, 120.
Yeah.
Because while I was in, the advancement rates from up to E4, E5, and E6, Geist, was when I made it. So it was 90% when I made E4. To make E4, it was 82% to E5, and then it dropped to 15% for E6. And
this is on the test, right? Or is this how many? Are you talking about percentage?
This is percentage of eligible people who took the test for the rate who actually got promoted.
Because I understand a little bit about the whole Navy's rank system. Because I grew up as a Coast Guard brat, so my dad basically went through the Coast Guard stuff in the 70s and 80s, and very early in the 90s was all basically the same thing as a Navy site for promotion. Because I remember my dad studying his ass off for it to make his chief list.
Yeah. So the components that go into it are your awards, your time in, your eval, and then the results of the test. You have to pass the test to be eligible for advancement, but your actual advancement was based on a multiple score of all of those factors. You had to be above the cutoff, which that cutoff was based off of, okay, how many slots do we have open up in that pay grade? Okay, that means to fill those spots, we have these many people. This is the final multiple cutoff. Everyone above that number, you're getting advanced. Everyone below that number but pass the test, you're potentially getting points towards your next test. That's called a PNA. You passed but did not advance. So you get more points towards your next one. Oh, yeah. See, here we go. So
you guys are way too fucking complicated.
ATI, right there. So ATI, we had 269 available for E6, but only 46. So yeah, 17%. That's typical to E6.
Yeah, in the Army, it was basically for things they look for, because they looked at your last 5 non-commit, your NCR reports, your evaluations. They look at your last 5, and they want to see progression. And they would look at like your PT score, your physical training score for your PT tests,
Mhm.
Are you consistently scoring in the 300 points or close to 300 points? Additional skills. Did you go to like you have any skills like drill sergeant, airborne, air assault, master gunner, master diver, all that crazy
Oh my
shit?
god. Sorry, ITS.
100%. But there's only
That's great
18
to
of
be
them.
in.
Yeah. Well, look at GSE. Same thing, 100%. But
Well,
you got to pass
look
it.
at
test.
Torment,
That's probably honestly where I would have ended up at, to be honest.
What the fuck is ITS?
When they created the ITS rate, my rate was a feeder rate for it. So
Information technology submarine specific. So if it's generally it's generally a two letter rate. If it has an S at the end, it generally means that it's a submarine rate.
like submarine sonar techs, their rate's actually STS. Though we still call them STs, but
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. So the STS is the submarine, STG is surface.
Well, let's see
Your
how
guys'
you're
system-
doing in E5.
Your guys' system's a little bit better than ours in the Army because we had like, your MOS, and then you had certain letters
wow.
after your rank, after your MOS to give you your additional skill downloaders. So it'd be like your MOS is 14 Romeo. Like mine was 14 Romeo, and then if you're 30 level, you're a senior non-commissioned officer. It'd be then you have Django 2 yet, all that shit.
Yeah, our rate's sort of the equivalent of MOS, and then we have an NEC that kind of defines a specific specialty or multiple specialties. You could hold multiple NECs. I had three different ones. So
yeah, we had multiple. We call them skill identifiers. I was a master gunner. I was air assault, airborne, dope on a rope, all that stuff. So I had my Juliets and all those fucking Tango tabs and whatnots, or whatever they call them now.
And just how bottlenecked the corpsman rate is.
Oh, yeah.
This is E5. They have
3%.
4,278 eligible for E5 and only a quota for 138.
yeah,
That's in the Army we call that stagnant.
Yeah. No,
well, that's hospital corpsman's always like that. There's just all, that you do not become a hospital corpsman if you're really looking for rank advancement.
Yeah. Same thing with Cook.
Yeah.
Well, in the Army, everything is based on a promotion point system.
Oh, wow.
And if the Army wants to basically stop any kind of promotions, they just call it. They just say maxing out the points, which is be 798, and basically nobody's ever going to get 798. So it could be years that the points for an MOS could be at 798 because ain't nobody getting out, nobody's retiring, so there's no fucking slots to be filled. So basically, you just have these people who just can't go any higher.
Well,
CS actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, scroll back up. Yeah, CS at 16%.
Well, this is E4.
Yeah, this is the E4. So scroll up a little more. Let me show you something. So ATI, that's what I was, intermediate level AT. 47% when I was being advanced at for E4. Add another 40% on top of it.
Yeah, that's like my rate up here at E5. ETV.
Yeah.
What the fuck is all that? What's all that NA shit for?
So there are some rates that are not an E4 rate. So as an E4, you would be an AW. The F, O, R, S, and V are specialties that are not available until you get to E5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Army would basically call that there's no positions available for that rank.
Yep.
That's like saying you can't be a warrant officer as an E4.
Yeah, so if you look here, the CTI is same thing. The CTI starts at E5.
Yeah.
That's just a slide show of mass confusion. So.
Well, so let's take a look at MA. The MA rate, the Master at Arms rate, not the actual numbers, but just the history of it. When that rate was initially established, in order to be eligible for the MA rating, you had to achieve E5 in a different rate and then cross into it. or be eligible for E5 and P&A your prior test. Now,
all those 100% basically are, if you're on the list, you fucking made it.
what? No, if you passed the test, you made it.
Yeah.
Well, on the promotion list or whatever. Yeah, on the Army we would call it the promotion list. Because in the Army, like I said, in the Army everything's based on your they call it the order of merit list. And it gets published and it says, okay, this E4 has this many points, so it's at the top of the order of merit list. And it basically just kind of works its way down. So you can kind of tell who's going to get promoted. And we just say, if there's on the order of merit list, there's 3 slots for E5, and the top 3 are going to get it. So that's just how we worked it.
Yeah.
Also, some of these NAs are also, there's nobody eligible to do, like ET is not, just general ET is not one that is unavailable to somebody who's in E3 or E4.
Yeah, there's no quota. There were no spots available. So when you
I wonder what FT looks like there for E4.
I'm just seeing a lot of stagnant shit.
No, I don't think hardly anyone ever took the E4 exam when I was
51%, almost 52. So when you look at,
I see a lot of stagnant.
You were taking the E4 exam because you were busted at some point in time.
Pretty much.
Yeah, in the Army, you just go to front of promotion boards. You fuck up, you wait till the next promotion board.
When I was in FTs, we were getting E4 out of A school. It was just automatic. You're just administratively promoted to E4.
Yeah. So going back in the thought that was in my head, comparing the Navy to the Army in that, the advancement list that the Navy publishes is everyone that made promotion. So if you see that your name is not on the list, that means you're not getting promoted that cycle. There's a cycle every 6 months. The way it works is there's one frocking ceremony where everyone who is getting promoted to E4, 5, or 6, there's one ceremony for everyone where you all start wearing your next pay grade as of that ceremony. However, the tier system from the advancement list, based off of that final multiple score, that determines who gets paid when. Your top third get paid immediately, your middle third get paid the next month, your bottom third gets paid the third month. The entire advancement group has to start getting paid before the next advancement cycle is announced.
Yeah, so you might be wearing E5, but you might not get paid for 3 months.
Yeah. Well, in the Army, it's you, like when I made E7, how it comes down is you get, you come to work that day, and the first sergeant be like, hey, you need to go up to battalion to go see the sergeant major. Okay, what the fuck did I do now? You walk up there and you walk in, you see a big smile on his face, and he reaches his hand and goes, hey, congratulations, Sergeant so-and-so, you've made the 7 list. Great, Sergeant Major, thank you. And then you become a E6P, which stands for E6 promotable, but you don't get paid anything else. You don't get no special fucking anything until you actually get pinned that fucking rank, and then that's when you start getting your money. The only time that P becomes anything, that promotion status, is if you're getting ready to move PCS or transfer, as you guys would call it, to another duty station. We call it PCS. Mm-hmm. PCS to another duty station. If you're in a promotion status, that changes your assignments. So now you can be going to different places that would for an E7 that you couldn't be going to as an E6. But that's the only thing. But being in a P status, otherwise, doesn't get you any of the fucking extra pay. Doesn't get you any more extra responsibility because you still don't hold the rank. So you can't make any of the decisions that rank holds. You're basically still stuck doing fucking staff duties and whatnot instead of doing regimental staff duties. If the sergeant first class runs comes in and starts chewing your ass because you fucked up, and you go, I'm a staff sergeant promotable, E6 promotable. You're not a sergeant first class. You're not an E7. So shut the hell up, or something bad is going to happen to you. So you better keep your nose clean until you get promoted. Because once you get promoted, then you fall under a whole different fucking caveat of shit. But yeah, that's how it is in the Army.
Yeah, a frocked being frocked is what we call it in the Navy, where you're wearing it but not getting paid. That is a really touchy position to be in, because if you go up in front of the CO for punitive measures and you are in that frocked status, you might as well walk in with that higher rank not on your sleeve, because that's the first thing gone walking in there, and then you get further punishment on top of it. So you can walk into an NJP as a frocked E5, and you're walking out of there in E3.
That's one. That's one thing. My first duty station in the Army, it was in Germany, and it being a basic, E1 at the time, E1, E2.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember this fucking day doing staff duty up at the battalion headquarters, and they told me to go to this. I think it was my second time doing it. I still remember this fucking day. They're like, "Hey, you need to go into the sergeant major's office, vacuum his floor, take out his trash, dust his windowsills, all that stuff." So I walk in there and clean stuff, and I kind of walking out. I was like, "Hey, Sergeant, why is there a desk of rank and stuff on his desk in a fucking jar?" It says, "Oh yeah, if you get busted down, when the colonel busts you down, you get to walk into the sergeant major's office. He gets to rip your rank off, and that's where that fucking rank goes, inside that fucking jar." So I remember I went back in there to put the plastic bags back in the trash cans, and I looked at that jar a little bit closely, and there was fucking staff sergeant rank in there. There was E5 rank in there. There's all the other ranks in there, and I laughed, and the staff duty NCO, which was a sergeant first class at the time, I can't remember his fucking name. He walks in, he's like, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "So I take it the fastest way to make ranking here is to make E5 is to be an E6." That thing was fucking full of staff sergeant rank at the bottom. Because I picked up the jar and kind of see what was going on in there, and the thing was fucking almost at the bottom of a half inch worth of fucking staff sergeant rank. Fucking either it was gold because they had to go in there to Class A's, or it was fucking the black pin on because we were wearing BDUs back in the day. But I said, so I guess as I said, it's like, so I guess the fastest way to make E5 here is to be an E6, and they fucking laughed that shit off. But yeah, there was I still remember that fucking jar to this fucking day. It scared the shit out of me. It's like my fucking rank going into that jar. I was like, who am I talking? I'm an E1. I don't have enough to put in that fucking jar but air.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. There's a guy who went up to MAST, who went up to NJP from my shop in Florida, and he was a frocked E5 at the time. Like, he went up for NJP 3 weeks after the frocking ceremony. So and here's the thing. He walked in there, and from what I heard, he actually did this, is he had taken his dress uniform top to the tailors, got the E3 put on there, and then had him put E4 over top of that with a couple tacks, and then E5 above that, just outside of it, with a couple tacks. That way when he walked in there and they start reading off his punishment, he reached up, pulled off the E5, tossed it on the ground in front of him, and then when they finished it, he reached over, pulled off the E4, and dropped it.
Hold another mast and drop him to E1.
In the Army, we had that sergeant major's desk I was talking about with the jar. I think he retired, or PCS, or I can't remember what happened. I think he just went on, and I think he retired. But anyways, this was goddamn 93. No, 94 at the time. But anyways, we got a new sergeant major, and his name was Sergeant Major Sotomayor. I still remember the fucking day. He used to be the Alpha Battery's acting first sergeant. So he was an E7 in an E8 spot. So they frocked him E8. And then our Colonel H.A. Graziano loved this guy so fucking much because he was such a suck ass that he put him as the acting sergeant major until an E9 came down to fucking fill this spot. So here was this E7 frocked E8, frocked E9 sitting in a sergeant major's desk. And everybody's like, all the us enlisted guys, because I was at a private time, just hearing all the shit talking from the platoon sergeant and all the E6s, E5s. Like, how in the fuck can we have a sergeant major, a battalion sergeant major, who's actually a fucking E7, frocked 8, frocked 9, is like, well, that's just the fucking colonel. He loves this motherfucker. It's like, I would love to go fucking down to HHB, which is the headquarters battery who controls all this shit. So like, I'd love to go down there and fucking see his 201 file and see if he's actually fucking got promoted by the Army to E9, or he's just fucking wearing that shit because he sits in an office and the colonel ain't can do shit about it. Because whenever the fucking division CSM came down to the fucking post, Sergeant Major Sotomayor, i.e. the Sergeant First Class Sotomayor, wasn't wearing fucking Sergeant Major's rank. He was wearing fucking E7 rank. But when the division Sergeant Major left for the day, not for the day, but went to go back to the base they were on, less than 30 minutes later, you see the fucking Sergeant Major Sotomayor walking around with fucking E9 rank. It's like, that motherfucking chicken shit. If you're going to do it, wear that fucking shit when the Sergeant Majors come through here, because Hillfair can tell you're an asshole. He can tell you wearing that shit. But that's what he did. He would fucking, when the division Sergeant Major wasn't around, the actual E9 for the entire division was around, he would wear his E7 rank. And when the division Sergeant Major left our installation, he would take his E7 rank off and put it back on E9. So.
Shady motherfucker.
The game he played. That's why I still remember his fucking name to this day in the Colonel, but he was such a suck ass, it was ridiculous. This is how big of a suck ass he was. He literally had his the Colonel's van was one of those VW Volkswagen vans. That's what they had back in the day in the Army on posts. And this is in Germany. Sergeant Major Sotomayor literally had his wife sew up these cute little fucking blue curtains to put on the windows of that fucking van with air defense brand symbols and all that shit, just so he can make himself look better for the fucking colonels. I swear to God, there was two little fucking bruises on fucking Sergeant Major Sotomayor's chin, right by his mouth.
Oh, so he was that kind of guy. See,
that's what I mean by.
See, and what I found interesting is when I got to the Kitty Hawk, and I took the test in Florida, PCS'd, so I wasn't going to get the results until I was already in Japan. And this was my first time taking that test. So I felt 50-50 on whether or not I was going to make it. And I was talking with my LPO, who is my supervisor in Jacksonville. He was like, you know what? You know your shit. You probably did good on the test. We don't know what the numbers are going to be yet. We're not going to know for another couple weeks. Go ahead and take one of your utility shirts, get E5 put on it, get another set of coveralls, and get E5 put on it. Because it's not a question of if you made it, it's a question of, did you make it this time, or are you going to make it the next time? Because if you don't make it this time, you're definitely going to get it the next time, or else I'm going to kick you off the fucking boat.
Yeah, in the Army, it was there's no way to fucking hide anything except hide sneaky ranks and shit like that. The only way we started wearing sneaky ranks and shit was when we had when the Army went from the BDUs to the ACUs on the fucking the collar. There was a piece of Velcro on the other side of the collar that was was down so you couldn't see. So a lot of people used to fucking wear the ranks they want to be. So I did it for a while with mine when I was at E6, and I came up on the promotion list. I took E7 rank and I put on that collar flap on the Velcro, and I had it facing down so you couldn't see it. And that was my little nod to myself of I made the list, but I still got to wait for the actual promotion ceremony and for my list number to come up. So
yeah, I guess that was a nice thing when the way the Navy did it for E6 and below is when the list came out, you knew that once the list came out, you were anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks away from wearing it. Because they wanted to get that shit done and over with, because, preparing for it, making sure everything is ready, and actually doing the ceremony, depending on the command you're at, that ends up being like an all-day affair. Because they go individually, like, we're all of the people being frocked are in formation, and they're going one by one, announcing and reading off the new rank and going down the line. And they start with the new E6s, then they do all the new E5s, and then they do all the new E4s. And on the Kitty Hawk, with a total crew, including the air wing, of over 5,000 people, yeah, that was a long fucking frocking ceremony. Thank God I was that's when I made E5 because I was the third person of the second row of the formation.
We used to do it at squadrons, so.
How I found this was when I made E5. This was in 97, 96 or 97. Either way, this was back before the internet, so we couldn't get online, fucking check who made the fucking promotion list. I found out on a Wednesday when the first arc came out. It said, "Okay, here's the fucking CQ roster for the weekend." I was like, "Oh fucking thank God I had CQ last weekend. I don't have to be on this thing for a while because I was still in E4 at the time, so I didn't have to worry about being on back on the list again because there's a buttload of E4s to fucking come through. But there was only goddamn maybe 5 or 6 E5s in our battery at the time. Buttload of E4s, buttload of E3s. So if you're enlisted, E4 and below, there's a long time you have to be back on the CQ roster. So like, fuck yeah. I don't have to, so I'm sending information, and he's like, okay, this is who got the staff duty roster or the CQ roster for the weekend. So he starts raining off numbers, and he comes up to my name, and I'm saying, I didn't hear it yet, but he's like da da da, Sergeant so and so, and then me comes up. And a brand new one, Sergeant so-and-so. And he said my name, of course, and I'm like, oh, fuck me. Oh, fuck no. I just had CQ last weekend.
And now that you got promoted.
Because he put me down on for Sunday, and which isn't bad. Saturday's the worst, but he put me down for Sunday, and I was getting promoted on Friday. That's when the promotions were going to be because we didn't know. It's just the list comes out, but the only people who get them are the training room and the officers and the first sergeant, not officers, but the platoon sergeant. So my platoon sergeant had that information, but he's just kind of fucking sitting on it, and he wanted me to find out information. So it was Wednesday, got called out, told I was getting promoted on Friday. Was getting promoted. I had staff duty, CQ on Sunday, but the promotion ceremony was on Friday at end of day formation. So. Hooray for me! My second day as an E5 was pulling CQ. after I got done pulling CQ the previous Saturday.
That sounds about right. The first duty day I had after I made E5, I was put right on shore patrol. It was like, oh great, we got another body for this watch. Here you go.
I was in prior to the big internet stuff as well. So, but our command used to post the advancement list up on the bulletin board. So, so we knew it right off. For us, they were supposed to put it up on the board, but everybody was too goddamn lazy in the training room to post it up. So it's basically kind of like the list is given for the platoon sergeants. My platoon sergeant had the list, but he wasn't telling us because he was waiting for the duty roster to come out. Because the first sergeant is the one who does the duty roster. So he's like I said, we had information at the end of the day, and the first sergeant's like, at the end of the day, fucking usual bullshit. He's like, okay, I got the CQ list for the weekend right here. So he's fucking reading it. And he's like, Friday so and so, Saturday so and so, and Sunday we have a new one, Sergeant so and so. It's like, oh fuck me. I got on the list, but I was like, oh, thank God, at least I didn't have it on Saturday because there goes your entire fucking weekend. Because the bulletin board was like 10 feet down the passageway from the ship's office, so it's hard to be that lazy.
Yeah,
you would be surprised.
On a submarine, it's hard to be that lazy.
Well, yeah, and especially on a sub, because you would have how many people promote a cycle? 4, maybe.
Well, it depends on the rate. There are those that do show up as E3s and make E4, so you're looking at least 10 there on a boomer, and then maybe 3 or 4 when you're E5, and maybe 2 to 3 on E6, depending on the rates.
I mean, you could have 15, 20 people a cycle getting promoted, but I mean, that's like 10% of the crew.
Yeah, exactly. 10% of the crew being promoted on an aircraft carrier is almost 600.
Yeah, and when I went from 5 to 6, is basically I found out through the fucking internet. went through the Army's Army.mil site and actually just pulled a promotion list. Like, oh, I made the list. My data rank will be the beginning of the next month. Like, okay, great. And then of course, for some fucking luck, I ended up on the fucking staff duty roster for that fucking next weekend. So I swear to God, every time I got promoted, I was stuck on somebody's duty roster. I think it fucking followed me because when I made E7, I got stuck on fucking the installation's fucking staff duty.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting the way, because part tradition and part the overall change, going from E6 to E7 in the Navy, there's an entire uniform change that goes with it. So they only do that promotion once a year, and that list is generally released end of August, beginning of September, with the pinning ceremony in the mid to late October. You're
basically changing most of your wardrobe. So
all of it except the coats.
My entire time
coveralls.
Well, there's some stuff that's just a change on rank stuff, but I mean, there's a lot of it that the entire uniform is changing. Your dress uniforms are all completely changing.
Yep.
Like, not even the same base uniform.
My entire time at Fort Irwin, California, in the Air Defense Unit, for 3 years, I was the only person to ever make Sergeant First Class.
Wow.
E7.
Yeah, you'll get that every now and then on the blue side of things, too. But, so, there is a reason for the delay between when the list is announced and then the actual pinning ceremonies, because they're doing something they call reindeer games. It is the Chief's initiation process, which is a little over a month long, where they are taking the E6s and taking them away from what they were doing generally as LPOs, generally as that supervisory role, and letting, if there's a new E6 in the shop that is bumping up to take the spot, or however they're reorganizing the E6s, when the reindeer games start, that new E6 is there, while the prior E6 is off playing games with the Chief's mess, with the E7 and above, learning from them, playing games, being initiated, which at times can border on the term hazing. And
No, we don't do initiations like that anymore, Jared.
Yeah, they fucking do.
No, we do not. We do not do any.
No, it's not hazing. It is not reindeer games. It is a month-long local training evolution.
Yeah, when I went from E6 to E7, I was a platoon sergeant as an E6. So I became, I made the list. I was number 4 on the list. Fuck, man, I can't think right now. 4 on the list, and had to wait for the promotion cycles to go through. So 1, 2, and 3 had to get promoted before I got. And this is the entire branch. So the top of the list got promoted. So then I made. I was number 4 on the list, so I got promoted. And like I said, I was already a platoon sergeant. So basically, we had my promotion ceremony out behind the unit. Got pinned fucking from 6 to 7. And went back to my office and started doing the same fucking thing I was doing all the other time. Only thing I had to do now was go up to legal, because surface classes have a different, the authority is different from a senior non-commissioned officer, from a junior non-commissioned officer. So there's different rules and regulations that you fall under now. Mm-hmm. So I had to go up to legal and get fucking briefed on what I can and cannot do, what people can and cannot do to me, all the legal bullshit, and what my authority is now as a sergeant first class, all the legal shit. So I got to get a special little briefing on that stuff. And then I went down to my fucking office and basically I kept doing the same fucking thing I had always been doing. I didn't have no special ceremony. The only thing we did do is after I got promoted, my first sergeant and all the NCOs of the the squadron, which was first squadron of 11th ACR. We all went down to the club on post, and everybody bought, we all got beers, and everybody sitting around joking, like a little party. That was about the limited extent of what went on for me. That was just a tradition for the ACR, was to go down to the club and everybody get beers and then sing songs. And you had this, the only kind of hazing they do, they had me sing Fiddler's Green, which is the cavalry song. I can't remember it to this fucking day, but I had to sing that thing, which is, I screwed that all up. But when I came back the next day, it was like fucking the same shit every day. Just now it was just a whole different fucking ball of wax. And if I started seeing E6s fucking up, I'd be out there barking at E6s, just like I would be doing so E675s. But there was no hazing. There was nothing like that. All the hazing stuff in the Army stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
This when I made E1, E2, not E1, but E2, E3, E4, E5, lots of fucking hazing. But then the Army got all paranoid about that shit. So it kind of pissed me off because I was so hoping for it when I made E7 when I was just a young soldier, wanted to be a platoon sergeant. I wanted this and this to happen, but I didn't get that opportunity.
By the way, Jay, what you showed there before, if I was still in, that's the list that I would be taking a look at. I would either be looking for my name on it or looking for a friend to join me at that bit.
Yeah.
What's the number? That's the number on the list?
Yeah, the number of how they rated on the
promotion.
Advancement.
So
the promotion
Matthew, or whatever, so Little Matthew is number 1 on the list.
Yeah, so Matthew Little there would be the first paid of his rate.
Okay. Yeah, in the Army, it's like I said, it's if you're let's say I made number 4, but of that year, out of that promotion cycle, there was, I can't remember. Like I said, I can't remember if there was 8 or 9 or whatever. If you made number 8 on the list and they're only promoting 7, you didn't get promoted until the next cycle. So that's how it. And you went there. You went back through the whole system. Well, not through the whole system again, but if you went back through and they started doing the promotion thing again, and your number could get bumped because all of a sudden you got some people who come up behind you who have different, they went and did this school, so they kind of push you down a little bit. So you could have been 7 the year before, but the next year you could be now number 10. So it was kind of, hopefully you fucking get bumped up enough.
So, well, scroll back up there, Jay. So here's the interesting thing with my rate. There is no AT E9 rate. There is no Master Chief AT. We AT and the AE rates, the two aviation electronics and electrician rates, merged at E9 for AV as the Master Chief Avionics Maintenance Tech. So you have 2 rates feeding into that one.
This is the most recent one.
Joiner looks familiar.
In the Army, technically, when you make first sergeant or sergeant major, E8, E9, you technically can go outside of the branch to hold your position because it's no longer branch specific. But you can't go to special forces and be a fucking E8. But say if you're an air defender and you're an E8 or E9, you can go to like a cavalry unit and be an E8 or E9.
Yeah, it's more of a general administrative and leadership role at that point.
Oh, that's all it is when you make first sergeant, E8, and sergeant major or command sergeant major. That's all it is administrative bullshit, and that's one thing I didn't want to do. I wouldn't mind being a master sergeant, being an observer controller, but I didn't want to. I like working with soldiers and being out in the field and doing stuff. I didn't want to sit behind a fucking desk and play suck ass to commanders and make sure fucking soldiers are doing online fucking training and shit.
Yeah. So in my world, the E7s were in charge of a branch, so they were in charge of a work center, a shop or 2 or 3 in some cases, and then
I was in 8 school with Timothy Kearns there.
see, there you go. stay in long enough. So your E7 is in charge of at least 2 or 3 shops, depending on the size of the shop. And then your the E8, there would be a couple of them throughout where they would either be in production control or the division office. The E9s would be either in the division office or up at the department level. That's it.
Yeah, in the Army, when for so like an air defense battery, you had the headquarters platoon, which was the training room, the supply room, the NBC room, and the arms room. Then you had the line platoons. Each line platoon had a platoon sergeant and a platoon leader, an E6 promotable or an E7 and an O1 or an O2, and then the headquarters platoon would be a E7 or E6 promotable and E7 as platoon sergeant, and either the battery executive officer as the what do you call it, the platoon leader, or it'd be a warrant officer. This was back in the day, it would be the warrant officer, but now it's supposed to be the battery executive officer. And the headquarters platoon sergeant is the only one that's in charge of people that are not their MOS, or could not be their MOS, because the supply sergeant isn't in the air defense branch. The armorer is not in there. He could be, but he's not. Well, most of the time they were in the air defense branch. They're just people stuck in the arms room. But by the MTO, the arms room was supposed to be, was supposed to be an armor in there had their own specific MOS. So in the air defense branch, the headquarters platoon sergeant was in charge of people that was not in their own branch. So doing their evaluations is a little bit more of a pain in the ass, because you're supposed to write their evaluations for their MOS. But here you are in an air defense unit as an air defense platoon sergeant, trying to figure out how to write something that's outside your MOS, their duties and scopes and stuff like that. That what their MOS, for them to get promoted to go through the cycle, is different than yours. So you need to make sure you write their evaluations.
I knew him too.
Are you guys going through a list of like this year or what?
Yeah, this is this year's actual E7s.
Actually, I missed the AT one. Go ahead and scroll up. Because I want to say this is the year one of the guys that worked for me made chief.
Well, this is also the list that Team's brother made chief too. All right, so
now keep in mind the AT list is going to be intermediate and hang on, scroll down. Stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hang it up. This is mostly a Navy thing here, so.
Well, we're about to call it a night, anyways.
Well, I'm gonna get ahead of you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang it up.
All right, later.
Later, guys.
Take it easy.
Like everybody I trained with is long out, retired, or E8s, E9s now.
Yeah, actually, scroll down a little bit. Stop. All right.
In fact, one of the guys I went in training with, after his first tour, he went through OCS, came out with a commission, served up to being a lieutenant commander, and then retired.
There are a couple names that are close, but I can't remember for sure at the bottom end. But then again, it is kind of hard to read from this. But it is a little after midnight, and we have been going for a while. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night, and just like to remind everyone that, yes, my drive to help provide a way to take care of the veterans who are in need, both financially or through counseling or by other means, is still taking place. Link to the GoFundMe is in the description below. Link to the Angel Investors page that I made for being open to an equity partner or someone who just simply wants a tax write-off due to a business investment. That's another way to go. Any and every penny that is able to be funded will be going towards the cost of the business startup and beginning operations, which is why the overall goal really is set as high as it is. But again, it's to help other people. It is not for profit. It is to help other people. Prime example, like Sean Hufford helping people in a situation like his where they need it. And I just got sick of seeing that an answer of no is being given to people who were in actual need. So go ahead and spread the word, spread the list. It has been tweeted multiple times on Twitter today alone by Marvel Girl and myself. Share the other links out, and you will also see a little more in-depth explanation given by the 6.5-ish minute long clip that I took from last week's VTW that is on the regular video page for the channel. So until then, everyone have fun, be safe, and we will see you here. Well, shit, it's after midnight now, so later today for Kanar with Damar. Later, everyone.
Later.
See ya.